Good evening, race fans, and welcome back to the CIL for the CIL Cup Series Championship. Here tonight at Homestead Miami Speedway under the lights for this one, all the marbles on the line. Joining me up in the booth, as always, John Price, Josh Crane, and joining us once again, Michael Koholich as well. And John, it's set to be a good one. 4 drivers still shaking it up for the championship on the student side.
Exactly. We've got a championship to decide here tonight at Homestead Miami Raceway in down southwest of Miami, in fact. And nice, cool track for these guys out there tonight as they're getting warmed up out there in practice, feeling out what those grooves are going to be like, running in some packs and getting used to the whole situation out there. And last week out at Indianapolis, it was UNC Charlotte with a wild finish at Indy, and FIU actually was a second place out there. Another podium for that FIU team that's coming on strong this season. And Henry Morse picking up another podium as well, in addition to a podium, I believe, 2 weeks ago as well at Auto Club. We were out there. But yeah, 71-degree track temp, 67-degree ambient temperature. So a nice evening to be out and watching some racing out there. Qualifying's become pretty important in this series. We've seen it happen in a couple of races so far where some pretty big names have gotten caught up into some pretty big incidents that have happened. Farr got caught up in one a couple of weeks ago. And so qualifying at the front has become pretty key. And we'll see where those yellows fall here tonight, if that plays into the hands of the guys like Toomey and Farr and Kaler and some other guys out there, and see how they deal with that tire wear, because we're noticing about a half-second drop-off about 10 laps in. So tire wear is going to change the balance of the car. It's going to change how the car reacts to other cars in front and behind. The guys are going to be on their toes, getting ready to feel out how that's going to play out throughout this evening. But just like you mentioned, Jarrett, 4 guys can win this championship here tonight. So, Josh, can you tell us a little bit about what those point scenarios are looking like?
We can. It is very much up for grabs, the trophy at the end of this evening. So your top 4 runners are going to be Jared Kaler from UNC Charlotte, Tennessee's Austin Farr, and then UNC Charlotte's Santiago Therese, as well as California Berkeley's Henry Morse. And Jared Kaler probably has the easiest path to victory. All he's got to do is win. Not too difficult, right? And the other scenario is, even if he doesn't, and Austin Farr is back past P11 or down below P11, then that's going to be your championship winner, Jared Kaler. Austin Farr obviously can take position 1, and he can also finish a little bit further back, but it must be Jared Kaler who would finish no higher than P17 or 18. So, guys, I probably would not bet on that scenario, but Austin Farr can control his own destiny with a win tonight. That's going to be one to watch. Henry Morse, again, from UC Berkeley, California there, will be able to have a shot if he can go up and finish in P1 or P2. And then the drivers behind him, that's going to be Kaler and Farr, can finish beyond P15. That's going to give him room to go. Again, we said Jared Kaler would be pretty surprising to see him beyond that P15 mark. Again, would be some more surprising to have Farr and Kaler below that mark, but we have seen Wilder in the past, and Jared Kaler going for that second overall championship here at CIL, being our pilot season winner. And Ryan Fenty from St. Joe's University also has a shot here. He's able to go through, and if he finishes P1 and escapes a lot of bonus points, if the drivers behind him can finish below P17, Jared Kaler below P17, and then the other drivers below P19, then that is his opportunity. So it's going to be a little bit of math this evening, gentlemen, but we have the math done for us. And so depending on these scenarios, depending on how these guys drive tonight, we're going to see who comes away with the trophy at the end. As far as schools, University of North Carolina at Charlotte looking good, 35 points ahead of Tennessee. We do have one drop week for these drivers that will be calculated after this race, counting 5 of the 6 rounds this season. And so these guys will look to make the most of their evening tonight. Again, the University of Tennessee going to have their work cut out to get past that UNC Charlotte machine. They would have to win, actually, Tennessee would, and then also have the University of Charlotte finish below P15. And so that is the math for this evening. And it's going to be one that we follow and crunch numbers all night long, I think, guys.
Yeah, most definitely. It's going to be interesting to see where these points battles finish out here, just like you said. And I'm going to try to keep my eye on some of those guys like Henry Morse and Ryan Fenty, like you mentioned, because they don't have too much to lose. They got to push as hard as they possibly can and come out on top here tonight if they're going to have any real shot at this. And so I'll look for them to make some more dicey moves rather than maybe Kaler or Farr that are going to not exactly take it easy, I might say, but at the same time, try to push as hard as they can without making any grave errors. As guys are getting rolled on out there in qualifying, 3 laps to set your fastest time. Just like we mentioned, Jarrett, qualifying has been a big factor in deciding the outcome of some of these races. So, what do these guys have to look forward to here in qualifying?
Yeah, so you mentioned qualifying. If this is your first race or you're a little unfamiliar with the CIL setup, the top 26 qualifying times make it directly to that feature race that you'll see at about 9:15 Eastern Standard Time here tonight. But everyone else, we've got 43, maybe 44 drivers registered for this race tonight. Everyone else goes into that last chance qualifier. And we've seen over the course of time, you don't want to be in that race. 10 of those drivers make it into the feature, but you want to just get it done in qualifying. So pay attention to how this stacks up as it'll come across your screen here momentarily. On the left side of your screen, you'll see how the qualifying order shakes up. But yeah, Josh, John, you don't want to be in that last chance qualifier here tonight.
Yeah, I think the qualifier is pretty difficult for all those involved, both at the front or at the back. If you're at the back, you're going to be looking to make your way to the front as soon as the flag drops. And then if you're at the front, man, you're going to have a mirror full of hungry drivers trying to get in that possession. Nobody likes to be eliminated so early in the night. So that's going to be one to watch. But the other individuals watching are going to be these drivers who can take notes and understand what this track is going to do. Here at Homestead, it's a night race. So we started in the evening time, sun down, setting now, and it's going to be quite dark if it's not already by the time as we ride on board here with Jared Kaler. Again, UNC Charlotte, this is the man of the hour. It looks like he's on one of his laps into turn 1. He's going to take that high line and let his car carry some of the momentum off the corner you see there on your screen. Kyle Larson, your NASCAR champion in the background there, maybe for good luck, the UNC Charlotte driver. So back down into 3, you can see he's going to be a little bit loose. And he's going to let that car float off the Homestead corner. Homestead, turn 4, opens up a little bit, but here across the line, again, it's going to be who can be smooth on the brakes. How does he position his car? You can see he's going to pick the high line again. He's going to monitor that front tire, and during the race, he'll be able to go through, drive off that right rear or that right front a little bit, depending on his tire wear, how he wants to wear out his tires, and how he wants to control the balance of the car later down into the run. So he's chosen the low line for turn 3. Again, you can do that here. He will slide up the track and just let that car float out, gather his momentum, and right back down across the start-finish line. Guys, that's a pretty fair lap here at Homestead.
Fair lap indeed. Currently sitting P4 on the qualifying table. Ryan Lusich from UNT sitting on top with a 32.4, and Thomas Toomey just behind that with a 32.41. Then Christian Gomez currently occupying that 3rd spot in qualifying at the moment with a 32.4. 8.8. I'm looking down the field. I do not see a lap from Austin Farr, man, on the screen now. So he's getting out there and trying to set that fast lap. He was immensely quick in the practice. Don't know if it was with a tow or without, but if anybody knows how to whip one of these cars around these tracks quickly, it is Austin Farr for sure. So I expect him to be putting in a pretty stout time here if he can get one good lap hooked up. He is one of 5 drivers left to set a lap. Austin Farr, Jeremy Rogers, Samuel Scherer, Henry Morse, and Ryan Fenty. So 3 of the championship contenders yet to set a lap here, but Jared Kaler still sitting pretty up there in the 4th position. Jarek Grodzicki, actually, we should mention him. He's been on pretty good form here coming in the CIL mid-season, currently sitting in now 6th position as Logan Slavosky bumps both Christian and Jared down a position or 2. And then Derek Jennings, also a great qualifying so far from him, sitting up there in 7th. Ricky Paz currently in 8th. And then Edwin Onofre and Sean Campbell, our Road Series champion, is making his way into the top 10. Henry Morse out there on track as well. Like we mentioned his name earlier, a lot to go for here tonight. A championship on the line if he can make it happen. Not quite like Formula One where we only got 2 guys that can win this championship. It is all to play for here tonight. Austin Farr slots it into 6th position on, I believe, what would probably be his first flying lap. So these times can still change, Josh. It is not all said and over yet with.
The times can certainly change. In fact, I'm going to point P1 and P2 showing a gap of naught currently. So we would have to tip into the thousandths to see that. In fact, my timing sheet shows 32.395 for Slavoski, and North Texas's Ryan Lusich putting in that 32.402. So a difference of just a handful, guys, of thousandths of a second, which is the difference in rolling in the throttle, a little bit of a wink earlier or later, and how these guys are using their brakes. If they are around these corners, I think that we saw a couple drivers in the telemetry this week in Discord sharing, hey, maybe a little bit of calmer braking, a little bit of smoothness on the pedals and inputs. Certainly the wheel as well is going to be a key here to success. And Jarrett, you mentioned that tires are going to be a factor that we see maybe more than some other tracks here as we get into the middle of a run.
Yeah, and you mentioned the fall off about half a second, really almost immediately. And I tell you what, we saw tires come into effect last week at Auto Club, and it was a matter of when do you pit. So I think we're going to see a little strategy come into play here tonight as well when these yellows fly. We'll probably have at least one yellow if the rest of the season has served as a indicator. But will we have one? Will we have many? Will we have none? It's a guessing game, and it's a high stakes gamble if you're one of those top four: Austin Farr, Ryan Fenty, Jared Kaler, and Henry Morse. So I think you really got to play your strategy as match the rest of those four. Everyone else on track still battling for their points as well. But those four, I think you got to see what the others are doing and pretty much copy it all night long. John?
Yeah, and it looks like we've wrapped up qualifying here. Tristan Yoder is the first car to not quite make it into that top 26 position, so he will lead this field away on the last chance qualifier. Nick Malash just behind him. Tyler Watts also behind him. Jeremy Millerin going to roll off fourth here. Max Kaiser, who actually picked up a podium early in the season in his CIL debut of all things, is in this last chance qualifier in fifth. And a couple other particularly strong names that we've seen throughout the season are also in this qualifier. Ethan Mild Morris, Matthew Nordberg, Cody Fadenhauer, some pretty common names that we've known for quite some time inside of the CIL are going to have a chance to fight for those last 10 spots for this race here tonight. 65 lap feature race, Josh, but a 15 lap heat race here, the last chance qualifier, significantly shorter than the feature race. So how does that play into these guys' strategy as we head off here with the pace car?
Well, I think that these guys are going to set up and run to take notes, but they're also going to go make sure that they want to be in this show. You know, if you're starting top four, maybe of this group, maybe you say just by numbers and only 15 laps, you know, you feel a little bit confident, but laps where you decide maybe who you can trust over. And by the way, guys, Austin Farr is going to get some information from his Tennessee teammates who are in this and saying, what is the track doing? How is the track temperature changing? And what does that mean for me? And what's the track doing? Where's the rubber? Where are guys running? What do you feel through your car? So I think there is a little bit of an advantage there. And then these guys, as you see the lights out on the pace car, everybody's going to be trying to figure out how they can make that final show this evening.
So here we go. Top 10 drivers from this last chance qualifier advance to the big show. Tristan Yoder in the 09 Robert Morris University going to drop all the way to the bottom of Homestead Miami Speedway. And we are off for the last chance qualifier for the last time here in season 3. And they're going to be 2x2 heading into turn 1.
Drivers already fanning out, a little bit of brake usage right there. Ooh. And I think loose from the St. Clair College machine, Mick Milosh. And it looks like we didn't quite make it through to the exit where we said cold tires. And these guys are going to have a handful of these cars. I think that is the 90, can't see, but maybe that's
95, Max. I think.
That's Tyler Watts there, Fort Hays State University. And that'll be a fast repair for that machine. But pretty tough move. I think some of these drivers were reacting, and it looks like the 199 machine actually took a move to avoid and maybe gave it a little bit too much wheel, John. Got the yaw in the car, and it never quite stopped rotating for that 199 machine. The Boilermaker, yeah, you can see that train coming through down all the way to the white line from about the third groove. So the Boilermakers will want to buff that one out. and we'll see if these guys can take two shortly. That's what we talked about, guys, right at the front of the field. That's going to be an issue for these guys that, it's going to shake things up. And if you're in the back, this is your opportunity, having started in the back, to make up a few spots.
Yeah, I think cold tires were the biggest culprit here. These guys were not quite prepared for the lack of grip as they entered turns 1 and 2. They're especially mid-corner. I'm hearing some mixed reports from the drivers on how this setup feels out there. Everybody's on the exact same iRacing setup in all these cars, so the only changes they can make are brake bias adjustments, but probably not using too much brake to get in the corner on lap 1, turn 1. But it definitely looked like some cold tires at play there as some cars were washing up the track a little bit faster. And with that correction that you mentioned from Jeremy Miller, and yeah, I think that's another culprit of cold tires. Much harder to catch a car when it's sliding around on cold tires, man. It is tough. I can tell you that firsthand. It looks like the unfortunately big losers from that incident were Tyler Watts, Austin Trainer, Sam Scherer, and Max Kaiser as well. And Cody Fadenhauer looks to have dropped down a number of spots as well. Andrew McCall has moved up 8 positions after that. Matthew Tucker up 6, Ethan Head up 8, and then Ryan Whitlock currently in that cutoff spot up 6 positions. So Bradley E. Daniels in the number 24 car currently occupying that number 12 spot. So we'll keep an eye between those two drivers and see if they battle it out here. But looks like Race Control has deemed that a racing incident between the 199 and the 95. So those guys will survive without a penalty here so far. So no need to go to the end of the line. No need to take a drive-through penalty. They will just file back in where they can as the pace car light's still on. So we're going to go by another time here, Jarrett. But I hope these guys have a little bit more heat in the tires this time around.
Yeah, and I mean, we knew that coming in. These guys want to make the final show for the final time, and we knew that those cold tires could be dangerous. So I don't think it comes to anyone's surprise we see this. And again, now all the guys in the feature race have seen that. Maybe there'll be a gentleman's agreement to kind of let the tires warm up, get through a couple laps, and then let her rip here at Homestead Miami Speedway.
Yeah, so hey Michael, what was your take there on that incident? We saw it was deemed a racing incident, so what'd you see there?
Yeah, about the same thing that you guys saw. It's lap 1, really cold tires, and just like you said, he made a little bit of overcorrection, avoiding the slow car that was almost in the wall. I think that was Nick Malosh, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
And so he made that overcorrection, and there's not really anyone at fault. It's just one of those racing deals where, cold tires, not expecting it to be so loose, and he collects someone else.
Gotcha. Well, pace car lights are out there. Jarrett, looks like Tristan Yoder's going to lead this train away again with Jeremy Millerin on his outside.
So Millerin on the outside. Zach Lindler in the 37. Pay attention to that car for Clemson University. We'll see if he can sneak his way back to the front. Field in the hands of Tristan Yoder. Green flag in the air. And we're back racing here again with 11 laps to go. Here they're going to be 2 by 2 and 1. And further on back, they're thinking about 3 wide.
Yeah, thinking and thought better of it. As you see Tennessee there in the middle. Looks like they will try 3 wide as Tennessee splits their teammates with looks like Matthew Tucker on the outside. Robert Morris University still on the inside. A couple moves, couple blocks there as you see Purdue, the 018 car trying to move in. Looks like Robert Morris will have to pick a line in the middle. Not sure I want to be there with cold tires and the air movement around these cars. You can see these cars each taking up a little bit more than a lane width themselves. In fact, it looks like we couldn't all agree on the exit of turn 4 there, but just like you guys saw as we followed along, kind of those leaders there, top 8 cars, there is a heavy blanket of air, and you want to, well, you don't want to, but that car tends to just ride up just a little bit. So this pack right here, as you can see, yeah, the 59 looks like turns around. Trying to see, it looks like Colorado School of Mines, that's Samuel Scherer connected, as well as that 39 machine. That is also Robert Morris's university car as well. In fact, collected in that lap 1 incident. So guys, once you're collected in an incident, it is very hard to get out of jail.
Yeah, very hard when you've only got 15 laps to make up that difference, and now down to, I think, closer to, we're on lap 6 already. So about 30% the way through this race. Looks like on the high side there, Max Kaiser just got into the back of the number 59, Samuel Scherer, and helped to turn him around. I think Scherer had already lifted for some danger he sensed in front of him, and Max just did not react too quickly to that one. But I don't know if that was the ultimate catalyst here. We'll take a look from up high. No, that actually does look like the ultimate catalyst there. So Kaiser into the back of the 59, gets collected himself by a spinning, I think, Austin Trainer or Sam Scherer, one of the two. That'd be Austin Trainer. So quick caution this time around, and we'll throw it back over to Michael. Michael, what'd you see in that one? Same sort of thing as we saw up here?
No, the car that we saw spinning, he really did get a little bit of help from that 35 car. Could have maybe lifted, and Sam Scherer got the short end of the stick on that. If maybe he had a car behind that, maybe it might have given him a little bit more space. Maybe expect him to not have quite as much speed. But that will be an end of line penalty for Max Kaiser.
So you guys keep hearing the voice of Michael Koholich up here in the booth with us. Michael is in charge of the race stewarding here tonight, so that's why you're hearing the explanation of the penalties up here with us. So always great to have Michael up here, and we can have everything sorted out all up in the booth all together. So green flag back in the air, and we're green once again. Going to be 8 to go when Milnerin hits the line. He's got Matthew Nordberg on the outside, Zach Lindler as well. Nordberg going to get a good jump there. He'll slide into the 2 spot.
As I say, North Carolina State has been moving up calmly this race. As you see the 37 car beside them, that is the Clemson machine of Zachary Lindler. Getting back, still 3 wide. Not sure if we've all learned our lesson just yet as we jockey for position. And guys trying to figure out, listen to their spotters and time the movements of these cars around them. You see 8 laps to go, and your leaderboard there, actually Nordberg just taking it off this corner. It is NC State. I stand corrected. Now the Boilermakers back to the point.
VCU going 3 wide there with the Clemson machine just in front, but slotting back in 2 wide into turn 1 as we're right on board here just behind that number 23 machine just in front. Clemson trying to get a good run off the corner. Looks like the high line is the line of choice for the exit off the corner. Another big instant. The 09 collected. Looks like Matthew Tucker also collected in this instant, and a little bit further back looks like Austin Trainer at the back of this line again. Once more, and guys are not too happy on those voice chats, guys.
Yeah, I think so, and I don't think I would be either. Really no need for that. Maybe you had a clear call or not, but again, we said the spotter is loosely helpful here in iRacing, but you have to have awareness, you have to have mirrors, or to understand where these drivers are around you, and to float up like that. That really, John, is beyond the exit of the corner. Where your car is tight, and that is a driver's choice right there. So that's pretty difficult to justify, perhaps. But again, Robert Morris University, 1 car up towards the front, a couple trying to work their way back into this main show. We'll see how far they get. Yeah, we're riding on board here with Tucker from Jacksonville State University, and this is his view. Man, just no way to go. That 09 car popping out of nowhere. And yeah, John, I don't have any cheat codes for that one, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's tough. Michael, it looks like that was pretty much a slam dunk penalty for the 09 car. Talk us through that one.
You're right. That is a slam dunk. As a driver, we actually have virtual spotters. Maybe some people have a human spotter for them, but in this case, it's really close. And sometimes that virtual spotter doesn't quite give you the right call. Maybe it's not in time for you to know that there's a car there. But the 09 really needed to be careful. I'm sure he knew that there was another car possibly on the outside of him, and you're right, that is a slam dunk.
Yeah, always tricky when you're trying to slot up just in front of that car, because you will get a push from the car just behind if you are able to slot up just in front, an inch in front of his bumper. But in that situation, not quite working out, mismeasuring the dimensions of that Cup car chassis out there. Asymmetrical chassis is left to right, but front to rear, you should be able to estimate those distances pretty easily. And unfortunately, I think that was just a missed estimation there. Maybe a missed spotter call as well. Maybe called clear or not, but either way, a end of the line penalty for the 09 car, Tristan Yoder. Going to start from the back on this restart. Cody Fadenhauer also dropping the back of the pack, the 804 VCU machine, not having a great time. But that has bumped Matthew Nordberg up 9 positions from the start of this race to going to be the one to lead us away from this caution. Zach Lindler just behind him. Jeremy Millerin, the one of 3 alumni in this last chance qualifier. The alumni notated by a 3-digit number. So Jeremy Millerin, 199. Andrew McCall, the 018 car. And then Matthew Tucker, the 143, the 3 alumni in the field. All competing for separate points championships to the students, but still in the same race either way, and got to battle cleanly. So Jarrett pace car lights are out, and we're on for our, I think, 3rd restart here in this race already with just under 3 laps to go.
Yeah, so when they hit the line, it's going to be 3 laps to go, and it's going to be kind of a bull in a china shop situation. There's not going to be any room for mistakes here. And if you do, you're probably getting run over because these guys all want that top 10 spot and make it to the feature race. So I think if you're Matthew Norberg, Zach Lindler, maybe think about working together here, especially if you're in those really top 6. Hey, maybe get single file, no incidents between us, and move right along. We'll see if that works out, or if we see a little more slicing and dicing, guys wanting to maybe win that last chance qualifier. So we'll see how this goes. The 76 going to lead the charge. Lindler on the outside. Miller in 3rd. Nick Malash in 4th. Ethan Head 5th. And Ethan Miles Morris, your top 6. Lights out on the pace car. It's going to take that hard left-hand turn onto pit lane, and the field will be in the hands of the NC State driver, Nordberg. He'll stack the field on up just a bit, get on the throttle, little wiggle right there. A lot of wiggle from the whole field, actually. That's going to be good to note for later in the feature race, but a good jump right there. But I tell you who got a good jump, Jeremy Milnerin heading down towards you, Josh.
Yeah, down here and now exiting turn 2, Jeremy Millerin was able to read that and then get that second position from Clemson. I'll tell you what, a couple Tennessee Volunteers in that top 10, that'd be great for that team as well. We saw Nick Malosh in the 98 machine. St. Clair College back up in the fray. Doesn't need to advance his position, just needs to stay right there in P5. He's squarely in the mix. So these guys, again, fanning out. We're going to see that on the middle of the run and the beginning of the run. And then they have to get single file, or they naturally get single file down in the corner. Now everybody goes back and picks their line. And guys, the line you run in 1 and 2 may not be the lines you run in 3 and 4. And your chosen lines through any given turn are going to change over the course of a run and over the night. As I believe a Tennessee Volunteer goes moving to the inside, but he'll be out of the iRacing zone of the caution. That's Ethan Head there. And so your leaders continue to race on as well as P10. So right on the cusp there from Fort Hays State, that's Tyler Watts, as well as the 23 Williams machine. VCU in 11th right now, that's Cody Fadenhauer, and then Matthew Tucker. And those guys are going to be the guys trying to get into the final spots. But right here, NC State and your Wolfpack looking like they're going to drive comfortably to the finish line. And then you have your Boilermakers. That is Andrew McCall there in the beige Purdue machine you see there. It looks looking like Ryan Whitlock in that 89 machine also going to make it. That's for P8. So right here, as you see the 804 machine, that's Cody Fadenhauer. Can he beat Buena Vista University to the line? Joshua Teagues right there. He's going to try and move up, not able to do a block. It looks like to the line it's going to be, and to actually turn at the line is the 95 machine. And the 95 machine, I think, will take that. Tyler Watts being scored in 10th. VCU or Cody Fadenhauer guys might think that was amusing. We'll see if the 95 thinks the same. But nonetheless, Daniels, Williams, Watts will be your final 3 to round out that top 10. Guys, we're going to see them in about 15 minutes later on tonight.
Yes, indeed. We saw Watts took the high line there out of turn 4, and I think that's really what contributed to him making it all the way to the line in front of Fadenhauer. That high line seems to give a lot better corner exit speed, and so this is a review of that. You see he's just got a much better drive off that top line here. This is coming out of turn 2, in fact, and now into turns 3 and 4, still on the high line. Cody 804 on that low line there. So Cody's got the better middle corner speed, sort of mid-apex speed, but that 95 car's just got that speed on the exit to come around the side of him. And Cody tries to squeeze him to the wall, maybe squeezed a little bit too much there, but across the line, Tyler Watts makes it into that final position in that last chance qualifier. So now on to a 5-minute warm-up race here before guys get set out and going into that 65-lap feature race. Hour and 20 minutes allotted for that race. I don't think we'll hit that though, and hoping for a little bit more green flag running here, Jarrett.
Yeah, green flag running indeed. So I think everyone's kind of taking notes from that first one, and we'll see how this one plays out. But tell you what, we're thinking about those top 4 and the need to win for those top 4. Who do you got in this one, Josh?
Boy, I don't know, and I'm just enjoying watching the solid racing. I got to tell you that mathematically and setup, I think Jared Kaler is in a good position. The question is, can Austin Farr get there? And I don't know. I think Jared Kaler does come away with, I think, a race win and with his second CIL championship, this time in the oval division. But I think Jared Kaler does come away with some new hardware this evening.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Jared Kaler would be the one to do that as well. But Austin Farr has been my pick so far here. He's sitting a little bit further up starting out this race than Jared Kaler. Jared Kaler's going to start out in 7th. Austin Farr is going to start out in 5th. So he's got the track position to help him here tonight. But we'll see if that translates into either a win or a finish far ahead enough of Kaler to translate to his second running CIL Oval Series championship. But Michael, I want to throw it over to you there. We saw quite a few instances in that last chance qualifier. Do you see a common trend with any of those instances? Think that maybe guys just racing a little bit too hard out there? What's your general take on that?
I think earlier on, especially when they're on cold tires, early in the race, I think the cold tire thing will be a bigger theme. But as the tires get really warm, I think it's just going to be, how much gray matter these drivers have in their head. I really think it's just going to be decision making, making sure you're careful, minding your P's and Q's, not making contact that you don't need to make. And other than that, it really should be fine.
Yeah, you mentioned the gray matter piece. What I always like to say, as a racing driver myself, most racing drivers lose between 20 and 40 IQ points when they put on the helmet. And I've found that to be pretty much the case with any series, no matter what the car they're in, as well as in the sim racing world. As soon as guys hop into that sim and really start driving out there, their decisions seem to change. You might have a plan, but what's the Mike Tyson quote? Everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the face. I think we saw a little bit of that out there as well. So, a couple guys making it through there that were just right on the border. So guys like Tyler Watts have got a second chance here, but they're going to be starting all the way back there in that 36th position. And so they've got a lot of work to do in front of them. But a couple other cars out there. So Logan Slavoski is going to lead the pack away in first. Still 2 minutes left to go in this practice here. Ryan Lusich for UNT. I think that might be UNT's highest starting position here tonight, Josh. And Thomas Toomey. We saw him with a ton of speed there on the roadside, but sitting here in third after the qualifying and into the feature race, got a lot of pace in that number 66 Virginia car as well.
He does. And Thomas Toomey was telling us that, man, I really feel like I have the car. I can feel what the car is doing, and I feel good on the track. But my racecraft, being one of our stellar road drivers, he said, man, the racecraft in oval is just different. Things are at a different pace, right? You're probably not running 3 wide for a series of laps at the Nürburgring, and so it is different. And that's a learning curve that he's been climbing quite well. It's been fun to watch, and so naturally, it's going to be fun to watch. And guys in third position here, he's going to have his hands full right from the start of the green flag, and I think that's what we can look forward to. I'm really excited to see how he gets along and throws up with those guys next to him, being Lusich, Gomez, Farr, and Fenty, guys, championship contenders out there. And Thomas Toomey is going to mix it up with him, John.
Yeah, I can't disagree with any of that. And, on the road side, we've talked a lot about Sean Campbell, of course, with his mega I rating over 5,000. In the CIL Oval Series, we've got 2 guys that are pretty close in I rating that are pretty stout. Jared Kaler sitting at a 4,800 I rating and Austin Farr at 5,400. So where Sean was a little bit in a league of his own on the roadside in terms of I rating, it's not quite the same here. And Christian Gomez also having a 3,400 I rating and much more difficult, I think, from my perspective, at least coming from the roadside, to find that I rating on the oval side. But not all that important, I would say, on the oval side, because maybe a little bit more luck, a little bit more chance involved out there on the oval side. But guys like Austin Farr still seem to manage to come up with a solution no matter what the challenge is in front of them. So the warm-up now is over, and we are headed into the 65-lap feature race.
So let's take a look at your starting grid as we get set to roll on off. Brought to you by InnoVetted Labs. John, take us through the top 10.
Yeah, sure. So Logan Slavosky from Queens University up there, and the number 27 car going to lead this field away. Ryan Lusich in that second position for UNT. Thomas Toon, who just mentioned his name a moment ago, in that third position. Christian Gomez for FIU in the fourth position. Austin Farr in fifth for Tennessee. Ryan Fenty for St. Joseph's College from New York up there in sixth position. So 3 championship contenders, fifth, sixth, and seventh. Jared Kaler rolling off seventh for UNC Charlotte. Jeremy Rogers, the leading alumni in this field here tonight for Texas A&M, is going to roll off 8th. Then Jarek Grodzicki for Kansas State University in 9th. And then Derek Jennings for Grand Canyon University is going to roll off 10th.
In 11th is going to be Ricky Paz from Valparaiso University, and on his outside, Edwin Onofre from North Texas. Sean Campbell from Randolph Community College in 13th. Jeffrey Ford from Missouri in 14th. Esteban Munoz from the FIU, that Panther Esports team, looking on here tonight in 15th. And Athena LeClaire from St. Clair College in 16th. Austin DeLong rolls off in 17th with Scott Ratliff in 18th. Joshua Tiggs will start 19th, and Alexander Gagnon from Robert Morris University in 20th.
And in 21st, Lynchburg's Nathan Brungett. Henry Morse will be rolling off 22nd, and then 23rd will be Grant Lemcool from St. Louis University in the 013 machine. Hagen Johnson, Clemson University, and names that you will now recognize from the LCQ. Carl Lemcool, Nick Stockner, and then we have Tristan Yoder, Nick Stockner, Matthew Nordberg, Zach Lindler, Millerin McCall, as we come to the green flag now. Millerin Morris Meloche, Daniels from Robert Morris University, Ryan Whitlock, Tyler Watts, and Andrew Williams from Clemson, rounding out your field.
Here we go. It's time for the final time here in Season 3 that we take the green flag. Logan Slavosky going to lead us to the green flag. 36 cars power on up, and they head down toward Turn 1 and John Price.
Yeah, down into turn 1. It looks like that number 96 car got a great start off there. Logan Slavosky is dropping back a little bit here. Actually, no, I take that back. Still looking good there. Looks like we have an instant a little bit further back in the field coming through the center in between turns 1 and 2. So dropping in the back, looks like Alexander Gagnon, the number 81 machine on my screen, is the man collected in that one. Looks like Ethan Morris might have been collected in that as well. So we take another look at it. Looks like Scott's a little bit loose there mid-corner. That might have freaked out the number 81 machine. It looks like he tagged Henry Morse there. Just a nice little door check there on the right side of Henry Morse's car, but Morse lives to fight another day with that one. So another view. So yeah, the 81 car loose there. Henry Morse looks like he shifts up a little bit wide, but I think that was a little bit inevitable either way. So I don't know, Josh, maybe cold tires culprit again, because a lot of loose cars there on the center of turns 1 and 2.
I would say I think some of us were perhaps refilling our in-car drinking system during that LCQ, because if they had not been, they would have seen that that was a carbon copy of Nick Meloche's lap 1 adventure there through there with tires. And that was a little bit different, where you were right. The 747 Pittsburgh State machine did get a little bit out of shape, actually led to Robert Morris's experience right there. But I think you're right. I think Henry Morse lives to fight another day. That car should be good to go. He won't have any problems moving forward. But again, guys, these guys are going to need to pay attention and work with each other. Not sure about the gentleman's agreement when a championship is up for grabs, but certainly should be able to walk through here. The first corner, these guys are smart drivers, and they know that it's going to be tricky. But I'll tell you what, we talked about who is here to win. And right now, guys, the first championship contender I see is 79. That's going to be Austin Farr from the University of Tennessee. Can't miss him in the bright orange T machine. However, followed closely is the 58 machine. And guys, if I'm Jared Kaler, I'm just putting a tow hook on that 79 machine and just hanging out for about 60 laps of this one.
Yeah, and then Ryan Fenty on your screen at the moment for St. Joseph's College up there in New York. Also a championship on the line for this man here tonight, starting right next to Jared Kaler just on his top side. But with Austin Farr just down below him, if I'm Ryan Fenty, I'm going to try to tuck in behind Austin Farr as quickly as I can and then look for those opportunities a little bit later on. So Jarrett, pace car lights are out. He's going to dive in the pit lane, and we've got our first restart on our hands.
First restart of the night here in the CIL finale. And Logan Slavoski going to get another shot at it. Green flag in the air, and he leads that Panther Esports team. But Austin Farr all over the back end of the 65. He's going to chase Christian Gomez into turn 1. Josh?
Yeah, this is a little chance here to get past that outside line and get set up looking for P3. Looks like FIU going to be off the corner just a little bit. Not sure if 79 has room. Everybody makes it out. You see Texas A&M given room there. And I want to say University of Lynchburg as they dive in the corner. They're the 82 machine. And back to your leaders. That's going to be Logan Slavoski from Queens in Charlotte will be leading guys by a fair margin at this point after a lap on the restart there. And Austin Farr. I'll tell you what I don't want to do, guys, at this point is run side by side for a super long time. With this many cars under a blanket, it could happen, but I really don't want to do that to my tires at this stage in the race.
Yeah, definitely agree with that. Looks like we've got Ryzel and Lucic coming way down low. Maybe you got a little bit loose coming off the corner there. And so they're going to make it 3 wide here into the turn. And Austin Farr there on the center has to be really careful there not to squeeze down on that number 12 machine too tightly there. It looks like UNC is going to try to tuck in behind Austin Farr and help both of them to get in front of this pack if they can. Austin Farr has been door-to-door with that 65 FIU car driven by Christian Gomez for what seems like 2 or 3 laps now. And Gomez washing up really wide, taking that high line there through the corner. So he's going to get a great exit here on Austin Farr, but it's just a matter of Austin can execute that slide job on him, but looks like nothing doing. Austin losing that corner exit speed. So it's Austin Farr in that final podium position right now, and Jared Kaler close behind. Jared Kaler does not want to waste any time trying to get his car in front of that Tennessee machine, Josh.
Yeah, I would like to be putting my car in front of the Tennessee machine, and I also wouldn't expect any favors from that 65 car. Especially as these guys wear out their tires. We know that FIU and UNC Charlotte went head-to-head last season. It came down to the final laps and a couple bumper touches between those guys. So again, wouldn't expect any favors from that 65 machine if I am the 58 car, UNC Charlotte's Jared Kaler specifically. So that'll be something to watch as we go through. But actually looks like the 96 now under fire from the University of Tennessee. That high line right now working. That's going to be FIU and Christian Gomez to the point. But these guys are going to try and come back and say something about it.
Yeah, Christian Gomez has got this high line working really well. He's been working hard at it for the last 3 or 4 laps or so, and it's really working great to get him off the corner fast. So I wouldn't be surprised if he's got the lead going into turn 3 here on the backside. And indeed he does. Steals that first position away from Logan Slavoski. Austin Farr wants to steal it away on the inside, and we've got another caution out here tonight. I've got, I think, Scott Ratliff a little bit slow on my timing sheet. So I think I saw him pop down low there coming out of turn 2. I don't know if he had an equipment issue or otherwise, or had some car contact, but does look like a little bit of damage there on the 747 Pittsburgh State machine. So we'll take a look here. And yeah, he got loose off the corner and tagged. I think that might be a Robert Morris University car coming off of 2 and is the cause of the caution here.
That is correct. So he said, yeah, we might have a little bit of looseness off these corners. I'll tell you what, well done by the drivers behind, especially their Buena Vista University, Joshua Teagues, making it through just in the nick of time with enough space there. Yeah, not what you want to see, but I was going to say there that Christian Gomez was going to have a twofold advantage there. He has current speed, but when these guys go through, as we got 5 to 10 laps under our belts, yeah, big decisions right there. Good on 747 to lock it down. I do see just a kiss of the wall and a little wrinkle as he got into the wall there on the Buena Vista machine, but nothing a little fast repair can't fix. Everybody gets one. And so with that information, yeah, I think if Christian Gomez can do something to figure out the high line that nobody else is doing, then that's going to be one to watch. However, just because no one else has shown their hand doesn't mean it doesn't exist.
Yeah, indeed. And we're only 10 laps in here, so we'll see what happens with the tire wear to that high line and if Christian Gomez can continue to use it or not. But if I'm Logan Slavoski and Austin Farr, I'm just going to try to tuck in right behind him if I can. But going to throw it over to you, Michael. 2 incidents in a row here and no action taken on either of them. Talk us through what you saw on both of those.
Yeah, on both of these, we see maybe some contact being made, or maybe just a solo spin. It's cold tires, or maybe we're 10 laps into the race. The tire's a little bit warmed up. Maybe for some drivers it's a little bit looser. I'm not sure what would be the cause of that, but no one else is caught up in these wrecks except the drivers that are spinning. So I don't see any reason to take action on this.
Yeah, I think that's a fair judgment indeed. And, Josh, I think during qualifying, we talked about some hand movements earlier, and that's something I like to come back to a lot, whether it's in iRacing or real life. And something I've talked about before with Austin Farr is just how smooth he keeps his hands. And so what that I think does is enables him to keep his car really predictable in a variety of situations. If you're trying to saw away at the wheel, you're constantly changing the load patch at each tire and each interval, and it gets really hard to predict what the car is going to do next. So I would expect to see guys a little bit further down in the pack or trying to drive a little bit more aggressively as far as steering wheel movement. Steering wheel rate is probably significantly higher than those in front of them, and that's going to lead to a more unpredictable car and more tire wear as well. Guys like Austin Farr with smooth hands and Jared Kaler as well are going to keep their front tires in a lot better shape throughout the race, and that's going to pay dividends as we come here to the end of our next caution here. Pace car lights are out once again. Jarrett, looks like Christian Gomez gets to lead this pack away. Christian Gomez watched a lot of restarts from Austin Farr. I'm going to be curious to see if he uses that Austin Farr early restart strategy.
Yeah, it definitely is a good strategy to use. Update on your championship 4. Austin Farr sits in 3rd, Jared Kaler 4th, Ryan Fenty in 6th, and all the way back there in 15th is Henry Morse. So he's got some work to do for that number 44 Ford Mustang. Back up at the front, Christian Gomez, no stranger to the front. He's been up in the booth with us a couple times after the race, and he is just so excitable. So you know that he's focusing down here for that Panther Esports team. Running a great paint scheme, I might add, here in their home race. We'll see the Esteban Munoz a little bit later. But Christian Gomez running off down to the bottom side. Slovaski chooses the top line, but your championship 2, Austin Farr and Jared Kaler, down to the bottom. Josh?
Down to the bottom, almost side by side right now. Kaler just trying to keep a nose under the Queen's machine there. Also from Charlotte. These guys not too far from each other there on their respective campuses. But you can see down early with those colder tires, who is going to have the advantage. Boy, it looks like that 65 machine. It looks like if you're going to pass that machine, it's going to be on the outside. Looks like the Tennessee machine here, he's going to try to get down, use his tires, and can he complete a slide job? Guys, I just don't see it. In fact, I see Christian Gomez going maybe just a car width off the wall, trying to shorten that track up. Still on a high groove, just enough, though, to keep his momentum with these guys. But down side by side into this corner, will it be enough for the 79 machine? That 65 already up to the wall. He'll have a straight run off the corner, actually gets up to the wall, and then straightens that exit off. So side by side down into turn 1, guys, I am thoroughly entertained.
Yeah, I think Gomez had to check out the throttle slightly, started to wash it a little bit wide. Maybe that front right tire struggling a little bit at this stage. And it looks like Jared Kaler's trying to join him up there. He thinks that that's going to be the winning strategy. If he can get some noses in front of some other cars there as he's trying to battle Logan Slovaski. But Austin Farr still tucked in on that back left fender on that 65 FIU machine. But Austin's making this low line work really well for him. He's going to pressure Christian Gomez into a mistake if he can. And indeed he does. Christian Gomez has to lift out the throttle on the exit of turn 4. And now he's under fire from Logan Slovaski trying to claim back a higher podium position if he can get it. And he's going to help to push Austin Farr on his way out of turn 2 there. But here comes the Kaler man down there on the low side trying to make a move happen on Christian Gomez. So Gomez losing a couple of positions there in the span of 1 lap. But he's going to keep committing to that high line. He thinks that's the way to be, and we'll see if that works out for him. But Ryan Fenty getting involved now too. UNT, Ryan Lusich also trying to get involved in this action. So it's a battle for pretty much these top 7 positions all the way back there to Thomas Toomey in that Virginia number 66 machine. A good green flag run so far, but it's Austin Farr out there in front, closely followed behind by Logan Slovaski, then Jared Kaler, then Christian Gomez, and then Ryan Lusich. Ryan Fenty makes a move happen there on, I believe, Ryan Lusich, and so he is up 1 position now into 5th position here, but Christian Gomez is battling hard, guys.
Christian Gomez is battling hard, maybe decided that saved enough tire time to compete with these guys on the bottom line, but I have seen a couple got Fenty at times, as well as drivers behind, trying to use that high line. Looks like everybody's going to kind of pick that middle groove right now. As I say that, it looks like we're going to be up high. Gomez at about a middle groove, and then several of these guys up high. In fact, maybe somebody just painting the wall a little bit. Didn't catch a number, but back through the field. That's what we like about Homestead. These guys are able to compete and share different lines. Guys, there is a lot of variety here in race strategy and racecraft.
Yeah, maybe just trying to shape some paint off that fender and drop some weight there on the outside. Maybe that's the strategy at play there for cars trying to run that high line. But bit of a risky strategy, if you ask me. Not a lot of weight to be saved there with the paint. And looks like we got the number 25 car sideways there on the main straight. Not sure who collected him there. I think that's Ethan Miles Morris. As I quickly check my monitor, and indeed it is the other Tennessee driver here tonight, struggling with getting that car around. So we'll see. He looks like he did have help from the number 82 machine, Jeffrey Ford, helping to turn around that number 25 car. So not a great look for that other Tennessee man, with Tennessee leading up front.
I was going to say, I don't know if that was a part of team orders right there. I did see a Robert Morris machine dart to the inside as the 25 went right. Maybe we can pick up the replay a little bit earlier in the sequence. But yeah, that's going to be a little bit tricky for these guys. As right here, you see they're coming off the corner. Tennessee probably trying to keep those machines up high. In the 82, that's going to be Jeffrey Ford there from Missouri, University of Missouri at Columbia. And coming off the corner, it looks like maybe a little bit loose and a little bit of a bounce off the wall. So the 82 in the wall bounced off just a little bit. You can do that here coming off the corner at Homestead and collected. Rather unfortunate there as the leaders were starting to develop. But yeah, that's going to be Jeffrey Ford just coming off the wall a little bit too much.
Yeah, indeed. Looks like Grant J. Lemkel has retired from this race, or he's just in pit lane at the moment. That's where it shows him on my monitor, but he's been in there for quite some time. So I wouldn't be surprised if that is an early retirement for one of the two Lemkel brothers out here tonight. Carl currently running in, if I can find his name quickly on my monitor, and I seem to be failing to do that, but I thought Carl was having a pretty good night so far from what I could see. Carl Lemkel currently running in 29th position. So we've seen Carl a little bit further up here as we're going to come down here onto pit lane. Michael, I'm going to throw it over to you. Tell us what's happening down there.
Yeah, I'm keeping an eye here on the leaders, and I'm hoping that Austin Farr can have a good pit stop here. And as we're coming around to pit lane, are we in pit lane?
So I think that the some of the drivers have gone down, taking their fast repair. However, most of the leaders did not come down pit lane. So the drivers that you see coming off are going to be kind of 20th on back. You see Hagen Johnson there. You see Matt Nordberg. Looks like that's going to be the 25 machine picking up their fast repair from that experience. You see Scott Ratliff as well on pit lane. So some of the guys in the back deciding that it's going to be time to put that first set of rubber on.
Yeah, Michael, sorry about that. I'm going to come back to you, though. Looks like Jeffrey Ford got an EOL penalty for that one. Tell us what you saw.
Well, what I saw there is it was kind of an avoidable incident. Hitting the wall isn't always on purpose, and actually most of the time it's not on purpose. Actually, all the time it's not on purpose. I don't think anyone wants to hit the wall. But when he bounced off the wall, made that little mistake. He took another driver out with him. If I heard you right, it was also a Tennessee car.
Yep, I believe so. Ethan Miles Morris collected in that instant.
So, I mean, collecting a teammate, that's already insult to injury, but these things just can't happen.
Yeah, definitely. And a slam dunk penalty, I think, once more here for our third caution of the night. And we are 21 laps in to this 65-lap feature race, but the race is on up at the front with Austin Farr, and Jared Kaler is itching to go there in that number 58 UNC Mean Machine back there. And but Logan Slavoski up there on that high line, and Christian Gomez is where he likes to be there, Jared, on that high line. We'll see how they do on this restart once more, but it's going to be Austin Farr that leads this field away.
Yeah, and keep in mind the point situation. If Austin Farr wins, he wins the championship. If Jared Kaler wins, he wins the championship. So both guys trying to control their own destiny here and just get the win, not have to worry about all the what ifs that can happen later on in the field. So Austin Farr, we've seen him, the master of restarts. We'll see how he takes this one. Slavoski on the outside, and Christian Gomez up on the top side where he likes to be early in this race. Lap 21, Henry Morris with a good jump on the top side. He'll go 3 wide with Jeremy Rogers and company, but a great jump for the top 2. Austin Farr, Jared Kaler as they head towards turn 1 and 2. Josh?
Yeah, you see Austin Farr jump up to the wall just before he dives in, trying to get the right exit. So these guys are all going to follow off the corner and try and catch draft. We have seen that being that control car is an advantage, and Austin Farr using that. As we go back to the mid-pack, we can see Huntsville at Alabama and Purdue trying to shake it up back there. But these guys 3 wide. Christian Gomez not making full use of his high line, and it looked like trouble. It looked like the 19 machine was loose off the corner. That is probably Nathan Brungett there, University of Lynchburg, but it looks like the 19 machine a little bit loose off the corner. And then certainly it looks like Toomey involved, Thomas Toomey. Pretty tough move as he was off the corner, and then right here into Gomez. Pretty fair play there. All the inside cars giving enough room. However, just it's difficult when your car starts going sideways. So yeah, you can see there Kansas State involved, St. Louis University involved right here. Awesome shot from our booth. Just wasn't quite aware of that 3 wide situation. I think 19 could have left a fair bit more room.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. Esteban Munoz down there just gave him a little bit of tap, but definitely nothing that he could have done there. He can't turn the steering wheel anymore, and if he does, it's just going to understeer, if anything. So tough one there. We'll take a look to see here in a moment what Race Control thinks of that. But Esteban Munoz there on your screen at the moment in that darked out room. Some guys like to race in complete darkness and just have total focus on whatever their monitor of choice is, whether it's a triple screen, a single screen, or VR, as we see a lot of drivers liking to use that. Looks like we do have some drivers coming down to pit lane, and Esteban trying to make a late dive down there into pit lane and just about making it down there. And looks like we've got, I think that's the A&M machine a little bit further on down in the pit lane. But these are most of the cars that were involved in prior instance. Some steering damage on a few cars. Some cars missing the entire front clip, in fact. But the leaders are not exactly just staying out there. Looks like they're making some second guesses. Looks like Ryan Lusich is the only one to commit. Looks like Sean Campbell back there is going to come down as well. And so, Michael, I'm going to throw it over there to you. What are we looking for on pit lane?
Oh, right now I'm looking to see if Ryan Lusich can take advantage of this pit stop. He's about to come into his box right now, and I'm hoping that he gets a good pit stop. Here we go. Let's take a look at his stop. It looks like a pretty clean stop. He got really square in the box. And, we're trying to think about the strategy here. Is this going to pay off here? Maybe he can, he loses track position. And there we go. He's off the box. Had a very clean stop from the pit crew there. And, we were kind of flying blind from the LCQ. No one really made a pit stop. So we're, let's see what happens with Ryan Lusich having brand new tires ahead of some of these other guys that didn't stop.
Yeah, I think that might help him a lot. So we'll see how that plays out. He's got good, fresh tires on that machine to help him clear some of this traffic that he's got in front of him now. A lot of Clemson cars he's got to clear there. So quite a few, 3 Clemson cars almost in a train there. Penn College of Technology just a little bit further up. And guys, I'll tell you who caught my eye there. It was Henry Morse, who's just in front of Athena Leclerc here for St. Clair College. Henry Morse is up 15 positions, up into 7th place in this race at the moment. He's been making up great ground. He knows what's at stake here tonight, Josh, and he's trying to claim that championship if he can.
He does know what's at stake. He needs a little bit of luck, but the part that he can control, he is. And moving up, he knows he's got time, so he's just staying clean. I did see some modifications to that right front fender, but we can handle that. So maybe a little bit tight for that car in the middle of the run. But I will go back to Ryan Lusich and say that I do appreciate Ryan has been up front for North Texas quietly for just about every race for that group, and has raced well, set the car well, and competed pretty strongly. And so I'm not surprised to see him kind of go alternate and check out those new tires, get full of fuel. And so, guys, if we do run a long run here, I would expect him up front. I will also correct myself that 19 machine actually belonged to Ricky Paz of Valparaiso University, despite the running a very similar scheme to the Lynchburg school. So that would be 19 is going to be your Valparaiso machine. Ricky Paz there on your screen in that Camaro. So looks like actually Grant Lemcool in that 013. So John, you said on pit road. Maybe an extended stay, but not out. So the 013 back in the hunt as you saw him getting ready on the bottom of your screen there.
Yeah, great to see it. And a couple other big movers in the field so far. Jeremy Millerin up 19 spots. Ryan Whitlock up 22 spots for the University of Alabama at Huntsville. So a great move for that number 89 car. And Carl Lemkel up 13 spots. But of course, we saw a handful of cars come down into the pit lane. So this may or may not play into the strategy. But I would expect Jared Kaler and Austin Spar to probably stay on the same strategy and just try to race it out bumper to bumper if they can. So pace car lights are out. It's going to be another Austin Farr restart here tonight, guys. But now he has Jared Kaler up there on the high side. You know, Jared, one thing I did notice is Austin Farr, characteristic of him as we've come to know him, nailed that restart last time. Absolutely left Logan Slavoski. It seemed like he was almost sleeping there at the restart and pulled out a good, car length and a half at least into turn one. So I'll be wondering if he can make that a repeat on Jared Kaler if he can.
And I tell you what, we've seen that at short tracks, and now we're seeing it at a mile and a half. So Austin Farr just continuing to impress in the restart. And like you said, so valuable. Get out, choose that preferred line, and break up the air behind. We've seen the Cup cars be somewhat difficult to pass at times. And here, we talked to a couple guys pre-race. They talked about maybe having a slide job to even make a pass. So I think getting that quick jump here, so key. And boy, what fun this is. The top two guys going for the championship, and whoever comes out with it will win. But I tell you what, Ryan Fenty just lurking back there in fifth. He's still got a shot as well. As these guys mix it up a little bit, Ryan Fenty, just as we say, down to the bottom, he's going to try and sneak by Gomez. Josh?
He's going to try to do his best to put himself in position. He's got to get past Gomez and Slavonsky and your top two leaders. However, it's going to be they're going to have to drop back a little bit further for it to fall his way this evening. So your current championship leaders are going to be Austin Farr and then Jared Kaler. Tennessee currently in the hunt for the championship right now, guys. He's trying to put a few car lengths on. Maybe he saved those tires. Maybe he's got that first lap speed, but we're really going to have to see who can manage this run the best and who can compete. I'll tell you what, I see that Grand Canyon University machine of Cooper Glick right there, that 15 machine. He's hanging out. He's part of this lead pack, and he wants to be up here and finish that season strong, doing a great job for that Grand Canyon University team.
Yeah, that's actually going to be Derek Jennings in that number 15 car there. Josh trying to hang on in that top 6 position at the moment, trying to stay attached to that bumper of Ryan Fenty just in front. A little bit further back, we've got 4 wide coming here out of the corner. Looks like Clemson there in the middle. Ryan Lusich on fresh tires there on the low side. I would expect him to be able to execute a pass here into turn 1. He's got all the grip in the world compared to some of the guys around. Looks like Henry Morse is mixed up in there as well, but everybody survives that 4 wide move on the exit of turn 4. So glad to see it. Looks like that might be Grant Lemcool there, exiting a little bit low out of the corner, a little bit slow as well. But again, a big 3 wide back into turn 3. Scott Ratliff getting right up next to Carl Lemcool's left-hand side of that car, and he's going to try to stick it down around the outside of him, and a little bit of contact there between Kansas State and Ethan Miles Morris, but everybody lives through it. But they are letting this pack in front get away, Josh.
They are, and a couple times we have seen drivers, especially Ratliff there on the inside, right? It's a very difficult angle into the corner, and as such, you get into the corner about mid-corner, start moving up a couple grooves, and it's difficult for these guys. Absolute bedlam here from about 16th on back. You see right along your ticker. The ticker can't even keep up. You see Thomas Toomey there right in the middle being smooth, and probably guys trying to figure out. He's going to have a lot of racecraft after this one is over. You can see he's glued to Kansas State University, who's glued to the University of Tennessee right now. There is the University of Lynchburg. That's Nathan Brungut in that 64 machine trying to make the high line work. He'll decide it's time for 3 wide going inside of the UC Berkeley machine. Probably a little bit tight for Henry Morse, and it is going to be pretty tight there. You see Kansas State decides better than to go into turn 3 wide. And you see Carl Lemcool here, the 095 machine you ride on board. Guys, it's difficult cars checking up, everybody trying to work. I do think that UC Berkeley just looks like it's tight, John.
Yeah, it looks like it's tight indeed. And car way up into the catch fence there on the exit of turn 4. Looks like the 018. I think that's Andrew McCall collected as well. Might be a Clemson car down low there. Might be Valparaiso University involved as well. Can't quite get a number on that car, missing in its entire front clip as we take another look here. So they went 4 wide as they exited the corner, and Valparaiso got loose there, got tagged by the number 98 machine, the St. Clair College car, and that was the car that went flipping up into the wall. So 98 Nick Malash not having a great time there, and that would be a spine breaker for sure. But it looks like it all got started when Valparaiso just got a little bit loose there. But I wouldn't be surprised if actually they deem that a racing incident, because he just got loose and didn't have any space to correct it. But again, we'll take a look and see what they have to say about that particular incident. But yeah, that's a tough one there when you get a car that's loose right in front of you and you don't know where he's going to check up to. So this is right on board with Malash, and Yeah, he just really didn't have a lot of great options there. Got a car on the low side, can't really go high because that looks like where that car's going to spin off to. And he went for a wild ride there, Josh.
He did, and yeah, a couple of those guys, again, when you are so close together, the margin for error is much smaller. So these guys will have to figure out, looks like, will we be on pit road, or is it a fake? No, that's the commitment line. And so your leaders, guys, are on pit road.
Yeah, leaders on pit road, Austin Farr, Jared Kaler, and the rest of the crew back there as well. Going to come down there and get fresh fuel and tires in the car. So I'm going to throw it over there to you, Michael. What we see happening on pit lane?
Down here in pit lane, we got Austin Farr into his box, Henry Morse and Jared Kaler back to back to back. This is going to be interesting to see maybe how much fuel they might take. They're all, looks like all four of them are going to be taking 4 tires. So that is very good. Out of the box, Jared Kaler.
Kaler very quick out of the box there, winning the race off of pit lane. I think Austin Farr was also under fire from a car on the outside exiting pit lane, so Austin Farr may have lost a couple of positions exiting pit lane here. So that looks like UNC is going to inherit a track position over Austin Farr at the moment. So yeah, Ryan Fenty also beating Austin Farr off of pit lane. I don't know if that was just Austin Farr a little bit slow or into or out of the box. But either way, UNC Charlotte shown they have the quickest pit crew out there, and he is pretty happy with that one. You can see how big he's smiling there on your screen there at the moment. Jared Kaler trying to type in chat to the other drivers out there as well and get some things sorted out as well. But looks like Ryan Lusich has inherited that top position as well. Nicholas Stockner just behind, and then Hagen Johnson currently occupying third place on track. So the number 12, the number 5, and the number 7 cars up there at the front. But we'll see how this plays out. This is going to get tricky now, guys, with Austin Farr, Ryan Fenty, and Jared Kaler on fresh tires. They got to go chase down Athena Leclerc and the cars in front. And you know who else is in front of these guys? It's also Sean Campbell sitting in 11th position at the moment.
It is, and I tell you what, I like that 12 machine, North Texas. He's going to have a little bit more laps on those tires, but he's also going to have a good knowledge of what those tires are doing. And he's going to have the track position here. You can see a little bit of a Clemson train. That's going to be your 5 and 7. That is your Stockner, Hagen Johnson, and Andrew Williams. A couple drivers that we have seen throughout the season here. And these guys going to have to figure out. But I tell you what, I expect the same way that the 12 is up here, guys. I think that pretty soon we're going to see leaders up here fighting for position. But I'm really focused on both Farr and Kaler. I think it's going to be an advantage for Kaler there with shades of Kyle Larson's very quick pit stop. I think it's going to be very difficult to get around that machine.
Yeah, Kaler a full second faster in the box than Austin Farr. Austin Farr spent 15.5 seconds, according to our pit lane reporter, and Kaler 14.48 seconds in the box. So that is what has contributed to him coming out a full 2 cars in front of that Tennessee machine. Logan Slavosky still behind Austin Farr, and Derek Jennings might have beaten Christian Gomez off of pit lane as well. So it looks like the pace car lights are out as we head here into turn 1. It's going to be Ryan Lusich, like you said, Josh, up there at the front, and we'll see what he can do. You know, if this stays green for a lot longer, or if it goes yellow quite a few more times, he's able to keep those tires intact. This may turn out pretty great for that number 12 car up front.
It could, and also if he is able to put a little bit of space between him and the drivers behind as the leaders work up, that'll give him some time as we are on board with Jarek Grodzicki, Kansas State University, another driver who's moved up. You see there 64 looking back at, and then the 66 of the University of Virginia, the Cavalier, Thomas Toomey, just completing his second place and a very strong road season. It was not enough. He wanted to come back one more time for the oval side of things. So we're going to get set up. Looks like Sean Campbell running a modified rear wing, if you will, there. So a rear spoiler. And looks like Jarrett, we are warming up to do this one more time.
Yeah, we're just about to cross the halfway point here in the CIL finale. Ryan Lusich, the number 12 North Texas machine, will be in control of this restart. They are on older tires. Not that much older, though. Remember, we saw Lusich on pit lane just a moment ago. Right behind him, it's the entire Clemson student body in second, third, and fourth, as they're going to block the Kansas State machine of Jarek Grodzicki. But it's single file through the top 5. John?
Yeah, we'll see if we got any team orders at play here between the 7-5 and the number 23 machine, but I'm expecting this Clemson team to work together. They've been pretty tight-knit there throughout the season, running very similar liveries and all underneath that same crew chief as well. So we'll see what they have in store if they've got an answer for North Texas, but he's got a great margin heading here again down there into turn one. A little bit further back, Thomas Toomey looked to the low side on Ethan Miles Morris, and Austin Farr trying to put a move on Logan Slavoski here into one. We'll see if those fresh tires can hang on for him down there, but Logan also on fresh tires. Jared Kaler just up in front of these guys as well, but Ryan Fenty up to the high side on Jared Kaler. He's got some help in front from Sean Campbell, in fact. He's got the position over Jared Kaler into turn three, comes down, touches the apron, but keeps it intact, and is going to fight again here with Jared Kaler as we come off the corner. Jared looks like he got a pretty good exit there, but not quite good enough. But there's still double file, two lines of cars here with Farr down there on the low side, Kaler down there on the low side as well. Farr just behind Kaler, on board with Farr now heading through turn three.
Yeah, getting on board with these guys as we go through the back stretch. It's maybe you have grip, but nowhere really to go. You see Farr, a little bit of a checkup right there. Guys, this just like Bristol, you got to be looking a few cars ahead. In fact, Athena Leclerc now probably holding up that 58. I think he would like to go by. He's saying, excuse me, we're going to go through or we're going to move through. And looks like we're going to attempt 3 or 4 wide, depending on how you count going into this corner. Not where Jared Kaler wants to be. He'll have to lift. Looks like Athena will lift, actually right in the way of that Tennessee machine. For your amusement, the highest scoring Tennessee machine is actually that 25 car. And looks like Austin Farr, though, trying to say something about that, but certainly trying to keep a hold of and a little bit separated now from that UNC Charlotte machine, guys. Jared Kaler and North Carolina at Charlotte with a little bit of clear air right now.
Yeah, Jared makes maybe a little bit loose there on the center of turns 1 and 2, but intact for now. Leclerc probably holding up these guys just a little bit, has contributed to help Kaler move up those positions, and now he's got another Tennessee man just in front of him, Ethan Miles Morris, the next car of target for Kaler. He's going to try to put a move down here on the low side, exiting turn 2. So we'll look to see what Austin Farr has in store, if he can keep hunting down Kaler at all, but he's got Christian Gomez and Logan Slavoski to contend with for the time being. A little bit further on up in the pack, Ryan Lusich still leading this pack out there, but it looks like Ryan Fenty coming on for that low move on the number 7 machine. Hagen Johnson under fire from St. Joseph's College. And as we see, actually, Jared Kaler moving down low again on the other Tennessee machine that we just mentioned. They're going 4 wide through the turn, and all surviving so far. Logan Slavoski there in the center. Austin Farr down low, doesn't have any help in front. He's going to be a little bit slow here as we enter turn 3, Josh.
He is, and you can see a couple guys giving and take. I think Christian Gomez and FIU got a really good run off that corner, but had to let it go with the car directly in front of them. But back at the front, we talked about Ryan Lusich leading the way. Looks like a couple Tigers from Clemson, and then Ryan Fenty actually trying to get around the inside, maybe the hard way around right now, the 66 of Thomas Toomey, who has quite well worked his way up there. But, guys, I'm looking at Jared Kaler with those new tires, maybe 6 or 7 laps less than these other drivers. Actually, you can see a 7 car falling back a little bit. That's Hagen Johnson, the Clemson Tiger. Ryan Fenty, guys, though, on a little bit of line. And Thomas Toomey with a deep dive, or the oval equivalent of such, there in the 66, continues to work on his racecraft. But Thomas Toomey going to be maybe demanding that 3rd or 4th position there. But it looks like he's got Jared Kaler to his outside, and Jared Kaler not going to take no for an answer.
Oh, that's Scott Ratliff in the wars again. We'll see what caused that one, but that is not good for Scott Ratliff. We saw him involved, I think, at the last chance qualifier as well as the start of this race, I believe. So that may be the second instant here. So I think that's Athena Leclerc there on the high side. So does Scott just come up a little bit too fast? I think he even touched the wall. And yeah, that's a tricky one. I might need a different angle to really verify exactly what happened. Try to get out of the way of Zachary Lindler there, but just couldn't quite happen for him. So looking at that 747 machine down low there, he does get up and touch the wall, and that slows him up just enough to get tapped by Leclerc. And so I think that's what really set those things off in motion. And big accident there between Lindler and Scott Ratliff. That's a tough one, guys. We're gonna have to send that one over to race control and see what they have to say about it. But yeah, this is on board with Leclerc. She just had no option there. She had to stay where she was. You can't even lift enough to really avoid that. Slam on the brakes, you're going to lock up and probably spin yourself as well. So tricky one indeed.
Yeah, that was tricky and didn't even quite look maybe like it was tight off the corner or loose off the corner. But looked just like maybe he kept moving outward towards that wall. Whether a little bit of target fixation or difference there. Looks like we're going to have actually a couple takers. Time for that second set of tires, if I count correctly, for at least the 12 car. With 20 laps to go, he's decided it's time to put the final set of Goodyear tires on. So you can see Clemson, Virginia, and North Texas, and a slew of others trying to come into pit lane.
I think this is everybody that didn't make it down the time before. Looks like Lindler has disconnected after that instance, so a retirement for Zachary Lindler, the number 37 machine from this race. But looks like Thomas Toomey got up there on the jacks a little bit earlier than everybody else, Michael. We'll see how this plays out there. But you've just said no action for that instant there, so tell us what's happening on pit lane and what you saw in that accident.
Well, right now I'm a little bit lost on pit lane, but what I do know about the incident that happened there is that Scott did indeed, he went around, and it looks like Zachary Lindler had a little bit of ARCA brake going on here. If anyone's familiar with the series ARCA, there's no caution, so people tend to full throttle through some things. And there was a little bit of smoke ahead of him, and might not have seen Scott sideways. And by the time that Andrew McCall avoided, bam, there was Scott. So we're not going to have any action on that.
Gotcha. Good eyes there on Lindler. And it looks like Ryan Fenty is going to lead this pack away. Jared Kaler currently occupying the second position. Logan Slavoski just behind, and then Austin Farr just behind that. So Kaler and Fenty up 5 positions from their original starting position. There, Ryan Fenty on your screen at the moment, doing a great job. I believe this is the man that likes to quote a lot of facts about moose, if I stand corrected there, noting that moose can dive up to 20 feet underwater. It's one of his favorite facts out there. So, we'll look to see if any of that knowledge comes forth here on the racetrack to help him evolve, but he's doing a fine job without it either way. But guys, I tell you what, I'm loving this battle between Kaler and Farr up there, Josh. It's one to keep our eye on for sure, and I'm going to be glued to the screen to see where this plays out with 18 laps to go here tonight.
Yeah, exactly, and you can see Ryan Fenty there on your screen, or it would have been, he has to win to make his way count. And then Jared Kaler going to have to be P17 and beyond, and Austin Farr going to have to be P10 and beyond. And so would take some circumstance, put that 26 car, get the big trophy tonight, but it can happen. And that has been the exciting part of all of the season and of this race, guys, with all the action that we have going back through and around. So, yeah, it looks like the light's still on of the pace car. We're going to get all sorted up. Drivers now. There's a pretty good mix right now of drivers who have new tires and are going to have old tires with a lighter fuel load. And we know that this car, over the chance of the run, really, you can try and drive it off that right rear, and it can be a little bit loose as we get the one to go now. So green in 1 lap's time. But really, a lot of these guys are going to be experiencing tight conditions. The alternative being that they kind of expedite the wear of that right rear tire. So choices to be made for these drivers. I am almost certain that some of these guys will opt for a loose machine. But Jared Kaler, UNC Charlotte, your standard karting driver. That's his background is karts and iRacing, and then late models for AF79. That's going to be Austin Farr from the University of Tennessee. Those guys trying to get it figured out. Nothing but moose facts from your control car. That is going to be the 26 of Ryan Fenty. And Jared, I think these guys are getting warmed up to go. It looks like we're going to cross the line. I have 16 laps to go when we get to the green flag this time.
Yeah, and 16 to go. Still quite a ways here at Homestead, Miami, but guys see the number 16, and they're like, it's go time. And I think we'll see that from your top 4, 3 of them championship competitors. Henry Morse back there in 7th, so he's not out of it either. Looks like the Ford Mustang all fixed up for the Cal Berkeley machine. Good looking car right there. Ryan Fenty, the control car. Austin Farr going to try and push Jared Kaler this time. So kind of a quid pro quo situation here. I'll help you. You help me. Henry Morris up to the top side. He's going to get a great jump, go 3 wide, and gain a couple of spots in this restart early.
Henry Morse has been doing that on restarts consistently and expertly done. And it looks like on the top of the outside, the 58 going to try and be there. Not a lot of room given. Maybe a little bit more you'd like to have if you're one of the guys down low, but everybody making it through that corner and now down into turn 3. Still 3 wide. Austin Farr trying to figure out where he wants to be. Ryan Fenty with a quick edge. Looks like the 58 will slot in behind, and we are 2 by 2, at least through the exit of this one.
Yeah, it looks like Logan Slavoski is the car of choice for Austin Farr to try and follow through here, but it is still these cars all side by side here, entering turn one, getting pretty close there between Ryan Fenty and Logan Slavoski. Ryan Fenty committing to that high line. Looks like he's a little bit slow there mid-corner. We'll see if that exit corner speed pays off for him, but I don't think it does. That's another accident a little bit further back. Number of Clemson cars involved. Thomas Toomey involved as well. It's going to be Jarek Grodzicki for Kansas. Blame him at all. I think that might be the Tennessee alumni just behind him, not having a great time either. So we're looking back here. I think this is coming through turns 1 and 2, trying to see where this all started off. Was that Matthew Norberg that might have had a slight tap on a rear quarter panel? I'm not quite sure there. We'll have to take another look and see exactly what started all of that off. So Matthew Norberg in the center there in the number 76 car. I think he washes up. No, it's the number 5 that comes up to get his right rear onto that front left corner of the 76 and set off those series of spins. So another Clemson car involved in an incident here tonight. Hate to see it, Josh.
Yeah, and that's tough there. You know, the air is being taken off that rear spoiler. And so, yeah, you want to be there. And really the answer, or maybe the answer that I had to know where to go there for Jeffrey Ford, unfortunately, for the University of Missouri, is, you know, if you know you don't have the tires and you know the air is not going to be there, don't put yourself in that position just yet. Obviously, the finale here this season, everybody wants to be one position ahead with 10 to go. But you know, the alternative there is patching it up on pit lane and then loading it up in the hauler. So there's still a little bit of give and take towards the end of this one for these guys. However, we'll be able to see the conclusion of this. And it looks like right now, Austin Farr going to be ahead of Jared Kaler, guys. This is your championship as it runs right here. So I'm seeing Tennessee and Austin Farr in the lead right now.
Yeah, Austin Farr, Ryan Fenty, Jared Kaler, and Henry Morse all tied up here. Your 4 championship contenders running 2nd through 5th position. I'd love to see this sort of thing, guys. You don't see this too often in too many other series, so it's pretty unique to have all 4 championship contenders within a car length of each other on the track and get to battle it out, hopefully to the finish flag, to the InnoVetted Labs white flag and then checkered flag at the end of this night. But Logan Slavoski was in front as that checkered came out, and it looks like Austin Farr was able to get his nose in front of both Ryan Fenty and Jared Kaler when that flag came out. So he catches a little bit of a break for that Tennessee machine. But Henry Morse, not counting him out at all for Cal Berkeley. That 44 machine shown a lot of pace here tonight, moving up a lot of positions. And he's shown some incredible talent as far as negotiating that traffic out there and keeping that car as clean as he can. So I'm going to keep my eye on Henry Morse as much as I can, Josh, and see where he makes his way to at the end of the night.
Well, I agree. We talk about the championship, but I can guarantee that everybody on your screen right now wants to be in victory lane at the end of the night, right? You can even look back and see Ryan Whitlock from the University of Alabama at Huntsville, that 89 car behind there, and a seasoned driver in real life and iRacing himself, right? Nobody said he can't be in victory lane. So we talked about guys wanting one more position. You can absolutely believe it will be a knife fight up here at the front with these guys. And I'll tell you who is going to be in front of it all is going to be your leader, Logan Slavinsky from Queens in Charlotte, again in North Carolina. However, guys, these guys are going to be duking it out, and I think he would just like to be about 3 car lengths ahead of it all.
Yeah, 3 car lengths ahead indeed. But Jarrett, those pace car lights are out. We've got 11 to go once we hit the line here with Logan Slavoski to lead off Austin Farr on the outside.
Farr and Kaler up on the top side together again. We'll see how they work together. Do they want to sneak around Slavoski and then duke it out themselves? They'll have to do it the hard way. The 96 going to get a good jump. Kaler sneaks in front of Fenty. He'll get a good push right there. Top 4 single file. Josh?
And single file, you can see 96 drifting up a little bit. The 79 would love to get some fresh air. You can see a little bit loose from the 58. He's got that car taking a little bit of air off of his spoiler. Ryan Fenty trying to say something. That's not what Kaler needs. Kaler has Ryan Fenty to deal with. St. Joe University, meanwhile, Tennessee is going to try to pull the slide job off of turn 4. Can they get it done? We know the outside has the advantage. He's going to say, no, close that door. And coming back on the inside now is Slavinsky, but doesn't matter. Austin Farr is going to have it down into 1. He's going to have his choice of line. That could be a good thing for the University of Tennessee, not so much for UNC Charlotte. You see Jared Kaler forced up to take that high line. He's got to claw his way back, guys, but 10 laps to go. This time by plenty of time left.
10 laps to go, indeed. Plenty of time for anything as we see Christian Gomez into the wall there. That's going to bring out another caution here tonight, I would suspect, but no flag flying yet in the air, so maybe we stay green for that. Love to see it as we're right on board with Logan Slavosky here, trying to hunt down Austin Farr just in front, down into turn 1. Does he go for that move down there on the inside? No, Austin Farr covers it off, makes him have no space available to him to send one down into that gap. And Austin Farr's loving that low line, guys, here tonight. He's making it work really well. He's been able to clear a number of positions with it. And Jared Kaler now has cleared both Henry Morse and Ryan Fenty. Ryan Fenty dropped below Henry Morse after that one. And now with 9 to go, another caution flag flies out here for Tyler Watts for Fort Hays State University. You saw, I think, the number 5 machine for Clemson out there as well. So Nicholas Stockner once more having some damage on that Cup car out there. So we'll take a look and see what happened. And so this is coming through turns 1 and 2. I think it's a little bit further up than this, maybe. I'm not quite certain here what we're going to see. And yes, indeed it is. Looks like the number 7 machine, Hagen Johnson, tried to move up on Tyler Watts, I think, and just no space to do that with.
Yeah, not as clear maybe as one thought here coming around the corner. And they are quite spread out, but we said this Homestead racetrack does bunch these cars up on the side effects. You see Esteban Munoz trying to work, and you know what, that might have been maybe they 7 thought he was clear, Hagen Johnson, but then had to check up actually for the 2 cars in front, and then was not so. So yeah, and from then on, everybody trying to navigate their way around. But yeah, really tough spot for those guys.
Yeah, a tough spot indeed as we ride on board here with Watson, trying to see what he saw there. And does he have any space? Maybe could have cranked it down there a little bit harder at the risk of spinning the car, but at the end of the night is going to have a lot of damage here on that car with just a handful of laps to go on lap 59 out of 65 right now. So I would suspect when that green flag flies, we're probably only going to have about 3 or 4 laps. I do hope that this finishes under green, because that is what we all want to see here. We all want to see that last lap battle between Kaler and Farr and Morse and Fenty, still running in 1st through 5th position overall. But it's going to be another Austin Farr restart here, Jarrett, and we'll look to see if he can gap out those cars once more. He caught Logan sleeping a little bit last time on this exact same situation, so I'm wondering if he can gap those cars out there into turn 1 this next time by.
Yeah, and we're quickly heading right back to the green flag. The CIL does account for these back-to-back kind of consecutive yellows. So we'll get right back to green flag action here as the pace lights are off on the pace car. We'll try and finish this under green as best as we can. Austin Farr, the control car, that is going to be key here on this restart. He's got Jared Kaler with him, Ryan Fenty as well, and Henry Morse, your 4th championship competitor, up on the top side. Good jump for Austin Farr. Jared Kaler following suit. He'll have the bottom line, but here comes Henry Morse as well. Josh?
Yeah, Henry Morse being able to follow the 58 through there. We know that's probably where Kaler wants to be, and so it's going to be mano-a-mano for the next 6 laps. Sliding up, but doesn't quite have the exit. Now he does. The 58 machine is going to block, try and cover off Logan. Logan wants to get up there, get a trophy, and the 58 has bigger aspirations. So these guys fighting. I'll tell you who loves that. Austin Farr, going to be the biggest Queens fan right now. And 96 even into and loose through the whole corner a little bit. That's going to hold up UC Berkeley, who's now going to try and duck out and make a move. And probably a little bit down on speed right now. It's going to be the 96, but by 2 car lengths, it is the Tennessee Volunteers team, and a high line now for Jared Kaler.
High line indeed. You know, I think I know what Austin Farr tried to do there on that restart, Josh. I think he was waiting for Kaler to squeeze up to his bumper just until he checked out of the throttle, then used that opportunity to go. As we see the number 12 machine, Ryan Lucic, spinning down into the apron there. He's going to be able to keep it rolling, but that does bring out the caution once more here with 5 laps to go. So it's going to be probably like a 2 or 3 lap battle here to the end for these 2 guys up here at the front, or maybe even 1 lap we might not get this to finish under green if we're terribly unlucky. But Henry Morse able to slot in front of Logan Lavoski before that all panned out there. But tragedy strikes for the UNT team here tonight. The number 12 car, Ryan Lusich, on with a great run overall here in not just this race here tonight, but overall in the series. Had a lot of strong finishes. So we'll have to take a look and see what happened to him. But for now, Austin Farr's in control of his own destiny here, and it's going to be all up to Jared Kaler to see if he can put a move on that Tennessee machine here before the night's over, Josh.
Yeah, it's going to be tough, and he's got to get the restart right. And it looks like maybe the 12 thought he was trying to make a move down low. We did see, once correctly. You know what? Yeah, I think he was trying to go for the move there. He did it once successfully before Ryan Fenty. The 12 of Ryan Lusich, University of North Texas there, but not as clear as the last time. Yeah, and that was the result there. So maybe a little bit of a self-inflicted ruin. Yeah, you can see. Just trying to go and maybe even he got kind of slowly crept over, maybe sent the message with a little bit of body language to Fenty. But I got to agree with Fenty there, John. I don't need to give that position up, and I want to be in the front just as much as you do. So I think that was a choice that we saw from the 12 machine.
Yeah, I got to agree with that. Ryan Fenty totally within his rights there to maintain his line. But pace car lights out again. Our race officials doing their best job to bring us as much green flag racing as possible here. So it's going to be 2 to go at the line here tonight, Jarrett, with the championship on the line. Our two main championship contenders up there in first and second position, and Henry Morse down there in fourth position. Ryan Fenty has dropped back to sixth, so he is looking a little bit more dicey than these other cars in terms of a championship battle. But it's all between Austin Farr and Jared Kaler up here at the front. Take it away for us as that pace car is going to pull off here into pit lane.
Controlling their own destiny. Whoever can win this race between Kaler and Farr will win it. And what a great jump by Austin Farr. That could be the championship. He's out to a 2, maybe 3 car length gap on Jared Kaler, but it's quickly closing as they head toward turn number 1. Down towards you, Josh.
Down in the corner, a fair gap, and we've seen that on these restarts. He's only got to keep it up for 2 laps. It's your green-white checkered, if you will, but you can see Henry Morse trying to get it done back in the 96, but we stay with the leaders. Tennessee trying to go down into turn 3, yellow showing on your screen, and that could be it for Tennessee, guys, and Austin Farr as they try to get in, continuing to come around to the pace car, to the checkered flag, to the white flag and the yellow flag, where they will pick up the pace car. You saw it from the flag man there. So we stay with your leader, Austin Farr, as he picks up the pace car. He'll do so about right on the backstretch. This is your scored final lap. And so these drivers in position here, but it's going to be, guys, Austin Farr and the University of Tennessee. Austin Farr, actually your driver champion. And it's going to be a good news, I think, for that driver.
Yeah, I think good news for the Tennessee team. I can't help but think that Jared Kaler might feel a little bit like he got the short end of the stick there with all these cautions that came out here in the last 10 laps or so. That really stole him any opportunity he might have had to try to put a move on Austin Farr. But, I mean, that being said, Austin has nailed all of the restarts tonight, and I think he knows Kaler's driving style. So at the end of the night, as we come down here through the exit of turn 4 to cross the line and take the InnoVetted Labs checkered flag, it's going to be Austin Farr that takes home the win here tonight, and Jared Kaler that takes home second place. That means Tennessee is once again your CIL Oval Series champion, with Jared Kaler coming home second place, not only on track here tonight, but also in the championship. So congratulations to Austin Farr and everybody at the University of Tennessee team out there. Well done to them. And Josh, definitely would have liked to see that last couple of lap battle, but either way, Austin Farr is definitely a worthy champion.
It was, and they were fighting there pretty well, pretty fairly for the whole race, and putting on a good show to watch. Something that we love to see here, and that was well deserved for Austin Farr, being able to wrap that up and really earn it from start to finish.
Yeah, so quick take top 10 finishers here from the booth. Austin Farr comes home with the win and the championship for the drivers, but Jared Kaler with his second place finish helps UNC Charlotte to secure the team's championship. So teams scored separately than the students. The highest finishing student from each team will take home the team points for that particular race. So UNC Charlotte coming home with a win for the team, but it is Austin Farr that gets to celebrate in victory lane here tonight. Logan Slavosky comes home third position, maintains that final podium position to come home here third. And then Henry Morse finishing in fourth position for Cal Berkeley. Ryan Fenty for St. Joseph's College in fifth. Derek Jennings in sixth position for Grand Canyon. Ryan Whitlock in seventh. Nathan Brungett for Lynchburg in eighth. Ricky Paz for Valparaiso. How about that up there in ninth? And then Sean Campbell, our Road Series champion, in 10th as Austin Farr burns it down there on the home stretch out here at Homestead Miami Speedway. Great finish to this season, guys. And Jarrett, still a lot of fun to watch. Would have liked to see that finish under green, but we had some pretty good green flag runs there that we had to see these guys battle it through the pack, and that was still pretty fun to watch.
Yeah, guys mixing it up all race long. We saw 3 wide, we saw 4 wide. Heck, we almost saw 5 wide there for a little bit, and I didn't think we could do it at Homestead, but they proved us wrong. But Austin Farr, great drive, and kind of just right place, right time. He's able to keep the car up front, keep the car clean, and I kind of got scared a little bit for him there in the middle when they're climbing up through the field. But tell you what, they survived it, and that's why Austin Farr is the champion. He joins us in the booth now on the front straightaway. Austin Farr, your race winner and CIL Drivers Champion. Austin, how does that one feel?
It feels pretty darn good. I feel like I had a really crappy midseason, and I thought I threw it all away, especially at Indianapolis after that qualifying. But I'm glad that I was able to turn it around here.
Yeah, turned it around. Indeed, you did. And in a great fashion here, coming home with the win tonight. And tell me a little bit about how the cautions played out for you. Obviously, I think that helped you a little bit about at the end, but maybe towards the earlier stages in the middle of the race, do you think those cautions played into your favor?
I'd say they played against, especially against Jared and I and everybody else that was running in the top 5. I think it was half the field that pitted for tires there. And running on old tires, or running in dirty air, sorry, is super sketchy at a track like this, but luckily all the contenders for the win survived, and we ended up making it to the end.
Yeah, and the end is what counts. Congratulations. Walk us through some of those restarts, maybe from start to finish. Is every restart, do you feel like it's an opportunity for you to gain, or was it an opportunity to lose? Because we saw maybe both for all different drivers throughout the night. But man, as the control car, I think you fared pretty well.
Yeah, it's definitely a spot to gain, because you want to. This game gives you such an advantage when you jump the restart. So I made sure to get the best restart I could, not spin the tires, not get loose out of 2, and hopefully have everybody else in the second and third row battle it out while I ran away. Luckily, I was able to do that pretty well.
Well, you did it indeed, and it was fun to watch while it lasted. But Austin Farr, a race win, a season win. Who do you want to thank and shout out for this one?
Everybody at UTK Esports, shout out to them. My parents, everybody else watching, everyone from the Discord, everybody in Twitch chat and all that, and you guys for putting the series on. It was a lot of fun.
All right. Well, always great watching you mix it up, especially with Jared Kaler, Santi Perez for a while, and Austin Farr, a well-deserved championship. Go enjoy this one tonight, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Thanks for the good season, guys.
So that's Austin Farr, your driver's champion. And I tell you what, guys, he had to work for it, not just tonight, but all season long, John.
Yeah, all season long, indeed. And you mentioned that kind of tough point there. He threw it away at Indianapolis, but second win of the season so far. And after almost really dominating the previous season, he had his hands full with this UNC team between both Santiago Perez in those first 4 races, and then Jared Kaler as well, able to work together as well up there at the front of the pack. But I think Austin Farr just proved why he belongs out there in the front of this group.
So next into the booth joining us is Jared Kaler, comes away second here tonight and just oh so close. And Jared, when the yellow came out, pretty much all of our hearts broke for you. Did you think you had something there for Austin there in those final couple laps?
Yeah, I had a run starting to cook up there, and it was starting to develop, and then the yellow flag came out, so there just wasn't wasn't enough time to do it. It would have been nice to end that race under green, because I think it would have been a spectacular finish there. But it is what it is. Can't do anything about it now. And yeah, fortunately we came up one spot shy for the championship.
Yeah, well, congratulations there in that second place finish. Solid run, and certainly all season long. Austin Farr, the driver champion, but yourself, UNC Charlotte, and Santiago Perez have placed UNC Charlotte on top of the championship standings for the season. So the school championship, collegiate championship, going to UNC Charlotte. So congratulations to that. And maybe the question there is, how did the championship season play out with yourself and Santiago Perez being able to communicate and race together? What advantages were there?
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty crucial, especially because I know he couldn't do the last 2 races, but when he was able to do the first 4, it was pretty crucial, especially on the restarts. We were all kind of communicating together, telling each other like, oh, we're going to go here and when, and it kind of helped situate everything going on those restarts, which these cars, they're pretty hard to pass. So getting those positions on the restart were really key. And that communication that we had all season long, or those first 4 races, really helped out on those restarts and getting that track position and keeping it for the rest of the race.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, Jared, it looked like that communication you just mentioned between you and Santiago was pretty much absolutely perfect for those first 4 races. So I'm going to kind of keep my question along those same lines there. And do you think this could have played out a little bit differently if you'd had help from another teammate here in these last couple of races? We know, Therese had to leave the league to go pursue some other leagues as well, and rightly so. But do you think this could have played out a little bit differently if you had his help?
No, I don't think so. I think because I won last race at Indy, and that was the first race without him. So I hope it couldn't have played out any better than that. And second place here, I don't think having a teammate I wouldn't have helped too much. Just would have been nice to get that race ending under green.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you there. We were like Jarrett said, our hearts broke for you when we saw those last couple of yellows come out. We wanted to see that finish under green, and you and Farr battle it out there at the end of the race. But either way, coming home second here tonight, second in the Drivers' Championship, and first in the Schools' Championship. So well done to the entire UNC Charlotte team for that. But before we send you on your way, any final thanks or shout outs you want to give out here?
Got to give a shout out to Austin, of course. He's the champion, so congrats to him. And got to give a shout out to Santiago Perez. Like you guys were mentioning in that whole interview, he's my teammate and he couldn't make the last races, but it was fun racing with him and putting up good points for the team. And he ultimately helped out win that championship for the school.
Absolutely. Well, we had a great time watching you battle it out with Austin Farr, especially in that first and second stages of the race here tonight. But either way, man, great job here tonight. Congrats on the Schools Championship, and we'll for sure talk to you again soon.
Thank you, guys. Have a good one.
All right, so Jared Kaler signing off for one more time here tonight. And oh, so close. You heard him right there. A run was cooking, and if we've learned anything from 3 seasons of CIL, he was right. A run was cooking, and it would have been a dicey last lap for Austin Farr trying to hold off the 58 machine, the UNC Charlotte team, who's been frankly unstoppable here over the course of these seasons. Jared Kaler won the pilot season over on the roadside, and now mixing it up on the oval side as well. So now joining us in the booth is our 3rd place finisher, the number 27 on your scoring tower, but the 96 on his paint job, and that's Logan Slavoski from the... Remind me where you're from, Logan, because I'm currently blanking on it.
Hey, guys. Queen's University of Charlotte.
There we go. I did not want to butcher that for you here tonight, but you had one hell of a race mixing up with the top dogs here tonight. You split the 4 championship finishers, and that's no easy feat we've seen over the course of the season. So run us through those final couple laps, especially those final 2 cautions, what your strategy is on those restarts, knowing that Austin Farr is going to try and get a good little jump. Where do you want to fit in, and kind of what line worked for you off the restarts?
I think honestly, just not being on the top was the best part. I think me and Jared were kind of at a disadvantage there, especially on those last couple restarts done on the outside. You just get jumped on the inside there. There was a restart where I was behind Fenty, and I was able to put him 3 wide because I start on the bottom. Just easier to pick up the tires down on the bottom and be able to get a run.
Yeah, I mean, definitely looks like you were able to put together some pretty strong overtakes out there as well. Kept your nose clean throughout the majority of this race, and I think that helped contribute to your third place finishing position here. So I believe it's your first podium here in the CIL. So, tell us what that means to you and that Queens team out there, how you find the CIL so far, and what's this third place mean to you?
It means a lot, I think my first race, I wish I had started at the beginning of the season because I think this championship would have been a different story tonight. But starting at Auto Club, obviously having the white flag incident, hitting the wall and knocking it down, leading on that whole white flag lap, and last week leading late and just the tire advantage, or 2 weeks ago the tire advantage at Indy not going my way, and finishing, I believe, might have been 7th. But this podium really means a lot to me and means a lot to Queen's University of Charlotte, and really want to thank them for the support.
Yeah, that's awesome. Congratulations on such a strong run. Yeah. So let us know over the evening here at Homestead. What did we learn about the track and how did it change? It looked like guys were running kind of the middle upper grooves when they had about 10 laps on their tires. But man, did those fresh tires like to stick down the bottom?
Yeah, definitely wanted to be on the bottom just because also the tires were really eaten up a lot. The longer you ran, I wish we got to run a little more. We could have seen some more spread out and see who really could handle and save tires. But you really wanted to be on the bottom, especially on a restart in those first couple laps. Using a little bit of brake to set the car and get it to rotate. Because after about 5 to 7 laps behind anybody and in traffic, the car was so tight and just wanted to push, 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 and it was so hard to be patient. And I thought I was wearing my tires more and more, and the longer we ran, especially with all these cautions, it helped out with that. But the track just tightened up as the race went. For most of the majority of the race, it was tight. It just tightened up as the run kept going.
Well, Logan, a pretty good run there. Nothing to shake your head at there. But who do you want to thank for this run and this second half of the season here in the CIL?
I want to shout out my mom and dad watching at home on their TV. They've been pretty excited to watch me race. Investing all my money and some of their money into this iRacing stuff. So them getting to watch me, watch me succeed out here is pretty big. I want to shout out Queen's University of Charlotte, obviously, and I want to give a shout out to Charlotte Pathfinder. He's the owner of Charlotte Phoenix Esports here in Charlotte. He reached out to me a couple weeks back to get me into this program and get me into this league, and I can't thank him enough for giving me the information to get in here. And I've had a lot of fun here, and I can't wait for the next season.
All right. Well, always great talking to you. And it sounds like your mom and dad made a good investment in you. So hopefully we're going to see some more of that next season. Logan, congrats again on the finish. We'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you, guys. Have a great night.
All right. So Logan Slavoski in the 96 Queen's University at Charlotte, coming away third place here tonight. The final interview of the night is going to go to Jeremy Rogers from Texas A&M University, and he is your alumni champion here tonight. You heard John mention at the top of the broadcast those 3-digit cars. Those are your alumni. You'll see him with the red windshield banner and spoiler as well. And Jeremy Rogers quietly having a very good season. And first of all, congrats, Jeremy. And second of all, how was it sneaking through all the, we'll call it carnage tonight?
Howdy, y'all. I'm kind of as surprised as anybody to win this championship. I wish it had come on a little bit better race night. Got caught in one of the wrecks and it blew my motor, so I lost 2 laps on my toe and pretty much spent the entire rest of the race trying to come back from it. It was pretty hairy back there.
It did. It looked a little bit hairy. So walk us through the back of the pack and the drivers and kind of your ride tonight. How were the decisions that were being made? And we know what it looked like from the booth, but sometimes it looked like there just was not many places to go. Was that the case down there on the track?
Yeah, I think it was the first green flag run after the crash that I was involved in. I actually like parachuted back out of the pack just to try and give myself a little bit more space. Other than that, people were. I mean, it was okay, but it was definitely you pretty much had to watch your step back there and try and trust people to hold their lines. And sometimes it got a little. Sometimes you'd pucker up a bit.
It looked like it. It was a lot of cars and a little space back there, and a lot of 3 and 4 wide. And good on you though, all season. Certainly, congratulations from putting Texas A&M and yourself there with the big trophy at the end of the year.
Yeah, appreciate it. It's like I said, a surprise to me as well. I'm quick on ovals, but I am not good at the racecraft on ovals.
Well, it turned out to be good enough for you here this season. So, Jeremy Rogers, who do you want to give a shout out to as you collect your alumni championship here in season 3?
Shout out to my girlfriend for putting up with my fake racing car hobby. Thanks to you guys for putting on the broadcast, and thank you to our sponsors and everybody that's watching on Twitch. You help make these fake racing cars a little less fake. Thanks, everyone.
All right, well, Jeremy, I'll tell you what's not fake, your alumni championship. So congrats again, and I'm sure we're going to talk to you again soon.
Thanks, y'all. Have a great night, everybody.
That was Jeremy Rogers. Always fun to talk to you from Texas A&M, and always seems to have a great livery on his car. And tonight, no exception, the under the lights white for the Texas A&M team. So our final results going to come across your screen here in just a moment, and John is going to take you through them.
Yeah, so Austin Farr coming home with the win overall, as well as the Students' Championship, the Drivers' Championship for that Tennessee machine. And Jared Kaler coming home second here for UNC Charlotte, but they do claim that Schools Teams Championship. Then Logan Slavosky in with his first podium in the CIL here in the last race in Season 3 comes home third for Queens University at Charlotte. And then Henry Morse in fourth position, a strong run for the UC Berkeley machine, but not just strong enough to fight Austin Farr and Kaler to that championship. Ryan Fenty finishes fifth, our other championship contender, same situation for him. And then Derek Jennings for Grand Canyon University up in a strong finish for sixth position. Then, guys, we always like to highlight our hard-charging award for the driver that claims the most overtakes in a race. And that one goes to Ryan Whitlock here tonight, claims 26 positions over the course of the race to come up here and finish strong in the seventh position for Alabama at Huntsville. A great drive for the number 89 car. Then Nathan Brungut is going to finish in eighth for University of Lynchburg. Ricky Paz has a good performance for Valparaiso University, finishing ninth. And then our Road Series champion, Sean Campbell for Randolph College out there, is going to finish in 10th.
Austin DeLong from the Penn College of Technology comes away 11th here tonight. Matthew Nordberg from NC State, we called his name a couple times toward the front of the pack. He slides back and finishes in 12th. Nick Malash from St. Clair College, we saw him in pre-race. He comes away lucky 13th. Andrew Williams, the first of your Clemson drivers here tonight. Bradley E. Daniels from Robert Morris University finishing 15th, and Jared Grodzicki survives a couple of wrecks. He finishes for Kansas State University in the 16th position. Carl Lemkool from St. Louis University, they're going to call his name tonight, but Carl quietly coming away in the top half of the field, finishing 17th. Athena LeClaire from St. Clair College will round out the top 18. 19th is Esteban Munoz from FIU, that Panther Esports program. Tough night for them, but I'm sure they'll be back with a vengeance in Season 4. Joshua Tiggs rounds out your top 20 from Buena Vista University.
And from Purdue, the Boilermaker, Jeremy Millerin, followed by Ryan Lusich. A solid night, followed by what will be coined the decision amongst that team there. And the number 12 car, that's going to be your 22nd position, Hagen Johnson and Clemson in 23rd. Jeremy Rogers, your alumni champion, bringing that Texas A&M machine to 24th. Jeffrey Ford at 25th. 26th is going to be Christian Gomez from FIU and from St. Louis University. And 27th, Grant J. Lemkool, your first finisher off the lead lap. Then we have Edwin Onofre from North Texas, Andrew McCall from Purdue, Tyler Watts, Thomas Toomey from the University of Virginia. We saw him there up front for a little while, but in the end, Not quite. Nick Stockner from Clemson. And then Tennessee's Ethan Miles Morris, going to be your 33rd position finisher. Scott Ratliff in that 747 machine from Pittsburgh State, going to be 34. 35, Zachary Lindler, Clemson University. And Robert Morris's Alex Gagnon in 36, guys.
Yeah, so your finishing order there. And so Austin Farr crowned champion here again on the CIL oval side. But guys, I tell you what I'm taking away from tonight, I got to find out what the heck they're putting in the water out there in Charlotte, because it sure seems to turn out some pretty quick racing drivers, whether it's on the road side or the oval side. These Charlotte kids know how to make these cars work out there, and it's extremely impressive to watch it happen week in and week out, whatever track we go to, whatever car we're driving. They just know what to do when they get out there, and it's just fantastic to watch. I do wish we had some more green flag running there towards the end, Josh, to watch Farr and Kaler battle it out. But at the end of the night, still a really great race. We had some good green flag runs there between the two of them, and did get to see them battle a good amount.
We did, but I'll tell you what, Austin Farr, he earned it. He put himself in position to be in position. So, running the whole race and making the right pit stops we saw. He did have a little bit of an extended stay there on pit road, a whole second after that UNC Charlotte team, but nonetheless got back around, especially after a little bit of a gap to bring those guys up. So, again, thoroughly entertained that Austin Farr coming away with the driver championship. That whole UTK esports would be proud. That's it's his second trophy here in CIL. No stranger to the oval hardware here, and then again, no stranger to the school championship, UNC Charlotte there again with the drivers Jared Kaler and Santi Therese.
Yeah, and I think as we think about this one a little more, I was kind of surprised we didn't see tires come into play as much as we thought they would. Michael mentioned it. We didn't see any pit stops in the LCQ, so no one really knew what that tire advantage would and wouldn't be, especially once we get to that 36-car feature race. And everyone just kind of played it safe. We saw all the leaders come in at the same time. Really, the only risk taker we saw was Ryan Lucic, and he finished in 22nd place here tonight. So tough break for the North Texas team, but really good job by everyone else, just kind of holding serve. But Jared Kaler off of pit road, that was something to watch. Michael, that was right in front of you.
Yeah, we should have asked him how the heck he did that, because it's really something in iRacing. We focus so much on what we're doing on track and how to gain a few tenths here and there in certain corners and some techniques here and there, but we almost never focus on pit stops. It's almost it's something that you think you would practice more, and it's almost like Jared Kaler is someone that does that.
Yeah, really fast stop from that Charlotte team, and getting squared up, and then a little bit at the mercy of the iRating pit crew or iRacing pit crew there that you have. But yeah, absolutely a good stop there, and maybe a little bit long 15-second pit stop from the Tennessee machine there. So getting on and off pit road and keeping your speed on pit road. These guys have been flawless all year, and awesome stop from that Charlotte crew.
Yeah, so as we wrap this one on up, John, I'm going to turn this to you first. What is kind of your biggest, I don't want to say takeaway, but biggest surprise here this season? We obviously knew Jared Kaler, Austin Farr would be very quick. We saw them last season. But as the season progressed, we had a couple of multiple rule changes. We had guys come in and really mix it up. We think of Logan Slavoski. We saw Sam Schur have a good race as well. We saw the entire Clemson team really choose different positions almost every single race. But we had a lot of storylines over the course of the season. What was your favorite this season 3?
Yeah, I mean, it's easy to look at these, top 2, top 3 guys and pick them for this. But really, I was kind of surprised at how many drivers we had come into this series this season and really put on some really strong performances. You mentioned Logan Slavoski coming home third here tonight. Great driver out there, and really showing that he can fight pretty strongly in this series. And a number of other drivers out there. Ricky Paz coming home 9th tonight. Great showing for Valparaiso. and a couple other guys as well. Jared Grodzicki had a great run a couple of weeks ago. So we've had a lot of other names come into this series this season. Maybe came in, after race 1 or race 2 and couldn't quite fight for that championship, but really put some amazing pace on display out there and showed that they know how to race these cars, whatever track that we're at. And so I was really impressed to see the number of new guys that we had coming in the league this season and really put on some pretty strong performances, as well as Sean Campbell. We talk about him a ton on the road side, don't talk about him nearly as much on the oval side, but finished 10th here tonight. And he seems to be figuring out these oval cars pretty quick. So Josh, I would be scared for the Students Championship in the future of the CIL Oval Series if Sean Campbell doesn't make a strong challenge for that.
Well, certainly, and we saw him post-race trying to get that car control in, just putting it a little slip angle around and seeing how these cars feel around here. But certainly ahead of his time there is the 30 car and that Randolph driver. So yeah, I mean, for me, I think that it's the growth and newcomers. You mentioned the talent pool, and I agree, John. And it's the buy-in from schools. I think of UTK Esports here now for a long time. I think of Ball State. This year with their involvement in esports and in iRacing. And I think of others who are getting up to speed, no pun intended there, and are able to support these drivers not only on Tuesday nights, but throughout the week and in setups, in learning, and in these unique opportunities that this environment provides. And so really the sim racing world, John, colliding with that of college and university education and that whole opportunity. So fantastic to see and even better to be a part of.
Yeah, most definitely. And, last but not least, Michael, give us your thoughts on this season. You joined us for race control and up here in the booth a few times. So what did you see this season that caught your eye here on the oval side?
Man, what really caught my eye was just how close some of the racing can be among the top guys. Tonight, especially, we saw them go 4 wide. We saw them go 3 wide. We saw them almost touching, and all the top guys came out of it alive, and it was nuts. The skill that these guys have to be able to do this and keep their head and keep their cool and just keep performing while this racing is so close and so tight.
Yeah, I could not agree more. I think at one point we were 3 wide for the lead and 4 and 5 wide behind him, and almost looked like a race at Talladega at one point. But
Yeah, you couldn't hear me. You couldn't hear my mic. I think I might have muted it, but I think I sounded like Mark Webber at the end of the Baku Grand Prix this year when Lewis Hamilton went straight. I think I might have sounded like him a couple times. Just, yeah.
A crazy finish to a crazy season. But that is going to do it for season 3 here in the CIL. If you want to see more CIL action, stay tuned. Follow all the social medias. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Collegiate iRacing on each of those platforms. And there'll be multiple fun runs throughout this kind of off season, but expect us back sometime around the January time frame. So for all of us from the CIL, from Michael in the stewards booth, for us up in the booth, and everyone that helps put this on, especially all the drivers on track, and all you guys watching, thank you from the bottom of our hearts. And special shout out to the guys you'll see on this final screen, our graduates who are graduating this winter season. They'll flip on over to the alumni side in season 4. So for one last time for season 3, thank you all for joining us, and we hope to see you again soon. Good night, everybody.